Listen, listen, listen. Welcome to Monday Night Toy Ramblings, where I am the only jerk and I'm not followed by or accompanied by a few other jerks who, I don't know, sometimes they bring me down. What can I say? This is the circle jerk rather than the circle of jerks. Anyway, if you guys missed it, I was on a little bit earlier. We did another special missions, talked a little bit about the Haslab. It's kind of difficult for me at times because I sometimes can overtalk some people. But anyway, I'll be able to tell you my feelings on the HasLab as best that I can. And there's also a lot of other news, as you may have noticed. I missed last week because I was traveling back from Joefest. I believe I got in somewhere around like 10:30, maybe 11 o'clock. But we had a blast. I think most of you have already got to see all the pictures that have come out. So I've deleted those slides so you guys don't have to worry about me showing off any more of that. As I think most of you guys got enough of seeing me in pictures on Thursday. But I do want to say thank you to every single one of you guys that joined me last week. We had Action Figs on, Darren. I think Pop even popped in for a while. War Chest Full of Toys. There were others. Having a total blank. I should have wrote it down. I actually didn't write anything down because I actually did need to try and get a nice little 10-minute power nap in, which I actually think that I did from, my show earlier today, or the show that I was on. It's not really my show. It's our show. So anyway, if you didn't check it out, go ahead, check out the special missions Circle of Jerks. We had Bobby B on. He's always wonderful. He talks more in his own videos than he does. This guy should just speak up. You think with that bellowing voice, he'd have no issues. But anyway, I also want to say thank you to Gungo Mike. He did a pre-recording with me. If you're into hardcore music, New York hardcore stuff like that, punk rock, check that out. But it's always interesting to get someone on, do a pre-recorded one. Normally, I'm usually in the chat, but I was actually at Joefest, or not at Joefest, but in Augusta at the hotel, having a blast with all my best friends. All of my friends. So, I did get a good amount there. I don't know. We kind of discussed it. Last day, I got 3 different dioramas, and you'll see them in different pictures and stuff. If you're at any show, like a big convention like that, and there's stuff there that you're interested in, you want to ask them on Sunday when it's coming time to close. They want to make some deals. They don't want to drag everything back. They had a lot of dioramas, wonderful dioramas. I cannot remember their name. Ed will probably remember, although every time that I do take a picture with them so far, I have been making sure to tag them in it. So really cool there. The other thing that was happening, if you remember correctly, before Joefest, I was supposed to get a package. It started up in Montreal, Canada, and then it went down to New York. Now, they could have crossed the port anywhere that they wanted to. Detroit has a port or a bridge, a tunnel, and Port Huron also has one. But unfortunately, they didn't. They went into New York, they went down to Tennessee, then they went to Mississippi, and then they just sat there. But today, when I got home, Footloose and Dark Lawn finally showed up. I know what you're saying. You've already reviewed these, and that's right. I was able to find one at Target, and one showed up from Amazon. But the Dark Lawn that everyone kind of knew that I was waiting for took its long way to get here. So anyway, they did come in. I won't be doing reviews because they're already done. Although I did get 97 Wolverine right there. That's actually pretty damn cool. I saw it at Target. I know it's like a year old, but they did another run. I think people were kind of crying about it because how dare they do something over again and let the fans have it. So I threw that review up because maybe not everyone wants to run out and spend the $50 and then 2 packs. So anyway, there's 51 people watching right now. I promise you, we are going to get in the HasLab. I don't have anything written down. So right now I'm going off the intro on my own, but I think we got a lot to talk about when it gets to that Haslab. If you haven't seen it yet, the line is completely dead. We are running at what, 10 hours, just over 10 hours since it went live, and it has not funded. So line is dead. Time to sell all your classified. We all know it's over. So let's get to the chat. Say hi to everyone, and then we can talk about some other stuff. So we got Cages Customs here. We have Mike Gould saying, I'm getting one for sure. Well, Hasbro convinced me to get 2. Well, remember, you have 45 days to decide on that. Hi, it's me is here. Cages Customs, who I think I already said. Yeah, I did. GI Bro, who we spent a lot of time with at Joefest. Great to see him once again. We got Mendoza. We have Richard Burns, Alex Martinez, U.S. Combat Dojo, Snow Wolf. Tell me your Snow Wolf. Did you get the Snowcat? I feel like that's got to be right up your alley, right? David R is here. Action Pigs, one of my moderator, guy that I spent a lot of time with. And there you go. So he said he needed one. He's going to get it. Beardy Bearderson is here. MTC. I hate this new app, but you know what was really weird when I was on earlier? On Circle of Jerks, all these ads weren't there. Maybe that's because I was a guest. But when you're on here with your own StreamYard, it's giving me all these ads. So I'm not really not a big fan of it. Mr. Wonderful is joining us. Ronnie Trickshot, who made the surprise appearance at Joefest along with Shark Eyes. It was awesome to meet him. War Chest Full of Toys, who I chatted with earlier today. Machine Man. We have. See, I don't know what half these names are right now. StreamYard, you got to fix this here. I know this, but I don't know who you are. I'm going to scroll up here and see if I can figure out. This is Joe Fan. Look at this. Like, this is messed up, man. Like, I mean, you can see it here. You see how it says the @ This is what it's telling me that it is, but I didn't see this earlier. Like I said, on Circle of Jerks, which isn't my StreamYard, so. Or is this Joe Fan? Wait a minute. We got 2 of you guys. What the hell? Did you... Man, I don't know. That's messed up. MTC Tom. Oh, it all... Now they're going away. Wow, that's weird, dude. So if you see this here, look at that. Like right there, it has this @ and then it doesn't have the @ And when I go up here, when I'm looking here, like War Chest has the @ GI Bro, and then all of a sudden they went away. That is messed up. Let It Roll is here. Nolan, which makes us ToyTube official. He trying to change his name. We said, you know what? None of us can be ToyTube official if you're not Nolan. So he's back. Viper Scout is in the house. Whew. Let's see here. Jay Astro. There's Mr. Wonderful again. Look at this. All these weird like ats. This is messed up, man. Anyway, gonna try and get through everything. Hi, it's me is here. We got Carol in before her brother. Let's see here. Plastic Skulls. And there's a lot of people. Todd C. We have Cobra. You need to shorten your name. My Gold again. Benedict. Like now, MTC is just MTC. Like everyone's losing things. This is truly messed up. Krusty O Crow, who I also spoke to on the phone today, he just ordered that big beast from Gridiron, and he also ordered the Snowcat, or he backed a Snowcat. He's gonna be a long time before he gets that, right? And then we have Inestu. That's what we're gonna go with. Grizzlehorn. It says nope, gotta pass on Haslab. I understand. It's your money. You guys decide what you want to do with it. I don't judge anyone. I mean, I judge lots of people. That's a lie. Kenny Potter is here. Soul Brother number 1, not number 2, not number 3. We have Nojin. I don't feel like I've ever seen you before, so welcome. I don't remember the kitty cat. True Star Screamer or Trust a Screamer, either or. HK Viper. And I think that's about it. All right. So let's see here. You guys saw I put out a bunch of videos. I got a lot of Delta 17 stuff in at Joefest. I went through the weapons. It seems like a couple of people were, pretty happy that I went through the weapons. I kind of showed them off with different iterations of characters. I think the big one, to be 100% honest, is seeing how they fit with the O-ring Joes. Everyone's always going to worry about thumbs breaking on that. It is, that's the biggest thing. And I will say this, even the Super 7 stuff, their weapons, the grip seem really, really big, but they're actually not. They usually fit in most of the O-ring figures' hands, so you don't really need to worry too much. And Nojin says, first timer. Well, it's great to have you. I love having new people joining in here. It's great that, it just builds the whole community. All right. We have Bobby Wool jumping in here saying, did you guys notice that Cobra Commander's voice in the Haslab this morning sounded an awful lot like Mark Hamill's Joker or Skeletor? I thought it sounded like Cobra Commander. But that's just me. True Star Screamer says 48.49 backers already on Snowcat. I know, but in the past they would have already backed it. Line is dead. Sell your stuff. All right. If you think I'm serious, then honestly. And then we have Just Plain Yogurt, who is the collector. I had to back the Haslab. Can't pass on those wieners that are included with Flint. Oh. You go to 5 and below and get the little grill. I mean, that's what I have and so many other people have if you have a 5 and below. But I don't have any issue with anyone backing the Haslab because I think it looks wonderful, to be 100% honest. Triple D's Dungeon says Cobra Commander sounded like he had a Brooklyn accent. As a used car salesman, you know how they are. They change their voice however it takes to sell a vehicle. Look at this. Chaz the Guru saying, I can't believe it's the Snowcat. It's too small for a Haslab. Ronnie Trickshot says, the line is dead. I'm sitting at the bar. See me. And then let's see here. Wooski. Mark Hamill has been voicing Cobra Commander since the his Haslab. Oh, I know he is. I just don't really notice. I mean, I knew they hired him to do it and everything like that. So, I mean, he's a wonderful voice actor. I mean, I remember seeing an interview with him and somebody had asked him about like, do you feel slighted that, you did Star Wars and you were one of the main guys and, your career never did anything. And he was like, well, I kind of take offense to that. He goes, if you compare me to, maybe like Harrison Ford, yeah, he's a superstar, but I feel like I've been pretty successful in Hollywood doing voice acting and different things like that. And I think he's absolutely correct, to be 100% honest. I mean, he's done an awful lot. Did he go on to be Harrison Ford? No, but you don't get many in one film franchise that normally go to do something like that. So anyway, all right. But yeah. So Joefest, I think you guys all got to hear enough about it. Let me ask in the chat really quick, is anyone planning on going to Joefest for the first time next year? I know it's one of those things where a lot of people will say they want it right away, and then they want to go, then they change their mind. We saw a lot of people do that last year. I would love to see more people. I'd love to meet more people because, again, it was such a fucking blast. It really was. Oh, and look at this. We have one moderator. We already had the other moderator that's here. And you know what he gets? And then we have MOTU Prince jumping in here saying, done Joker for years. Yes, he has. B is Battleground, who I literally just saw an hour ago. Thoughts on the Haslab? I think we'll get into that. Look at this. You're getting called out by another moderator. B, are you really, or are you going to have another kid around that time and miss it? Benedict, Stanley Haynes, Richard Burns. Man, a whole bunch of people jumped in. I'm trying to create a poll right now asking, did you back the Haslab? Or should I say, are you going to back the Haslab. I'm a one-man show. I got to do all this on my own here and entertain you guys. So we'll do that. Let's keep a nice little idea here. We got yes, no, oops, that's not. And then we'll put not sure yet. All right. So go vote in the poll. All right. So this time just try and go over everything. Tomorrow I will once again be on with Circle of Jerks. I was on with Oz this weekend. Thank you for having me on. There was a little bit of a little rift with a couple guys that were on there. Go watch it. Support Oz and all those guys. Again, the clubhouse on Saturday. It's actually a lot of fun. Normally, this one was not that fun, but I thought Kenzo handled it pretty well for the most part. So, Action Jay jumping in here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go ahead and watch it. There was a guy that wasn't too happy that kind of called him out. So, Alex Martinez says, Mr. Punk, will you be making your way to San Diego Comic-Con? It's my hometown. I will not. I would love to. My oldest lives out there. I'm not sure how long her and her boyfriend plan on living out there. I was thinking about trying to do it next year, but that's kind of off the table because right after Joefest, we are supposed to go down to Orlando. So I can't really take too many trips, but I do want to make it out there. I've never been there, and I hear it's absolutely... I hear it's one of those places that you just have to make it. So, HK Viper says, will be my first time next year. I'm not missing it anymore. I think a lot of, what you see when it comes to Joefest, all the pictures and everything. I'm going to be 100% honest. When it comes to the floor space and the vendors, I really got this idea when I was talking to some of the people that the guys upstairs, and there's like 2 different levels in the lobby. And this is after hours. And I was talking to them, and they see, assembly required. They see that as like, that's their big social event. They see this more as a swap meet. But what I see, and I think what most of the guys that we're involved with, is they see this as the new go-to event to meet other YouTubers, get together once a year. There's Ray Murphy, and all those guys from Ireland and stuff. They fly in there, and again, it's just a lot of fun. But the guys upstairs, they see it still as a swap meet, and I think that's because they come from JoeCon, and that's how JoeCon was. Where they don't have a big, huge YouTube presence. And I don't mean that in a bad way at all. It's just that this is a different generation. And again, we're all the same age, but a different generation of what we're doing. So AR, I think they look at that as like, that is their time to meet people, hang out, and reconnect. I know that's why Chris McLeod goes there and doesn't go to Joefest. I, on the other hand, see it completely different because it seems like the guys on the first floor, the guys that are a little bit more rowdy, and I don't mean that in a bad way. No one's causing trouble or anything. We're just rowdy. And I feel like we're all there just to hang out for 4 to 5 days. You get in there Thursday, you leave on Monday. It's a good 4 days that you're spending with these people that you won't probably see till next year. So, and I know we saw Row Keeper jump in here. Where's Row Keeper? There he is. But yeah. And Cobra Emperor says, I never knew panic attacks were real, but they are. It makes it like you're hyperventilating, but only up to an hour, and then you go back to normal. Freaks me out. When my ex and I split up, I had many panic attacks. Waking up, it's exhilarating, I guess is the best way. Bobby Wolf says, what I would like to see is them do a snow team generic snow trooper with the option of putting other Joe characters' heads on it, similar to the Hiss fire team. That's actually a great idea. Unfortunately, I think one of the things that kind of disappoints me is that we didn't see anything with the Dragonfly. Like, we didn't get anything with the Dragonfly, and now the Rattler's coming. We really should have got some sort of ground support team for the Dragonfly, but we didn't. So that's kind of disappointing. We got Black Genghis jumping in here. We have Turk Murphy Toy Solution. We got Bronx Rob. It's a boring plain vehicle. Gridiron is making better vehicles. Gridiron also are 2 to 3 times more expensive. And I'm not going to put down the Gridiron stuff because it looks amazing, but you cannot compare the two. You cannot compare the two. You are living in one day and the other. And if you think the Snowcat is boring, that's on you. I don't see it, and I don't think a lot of other people see it either. They did a lot to make it different, yet make it still the same. But everyone has their own opinion, and I'm not going to be one to say, like, you're absolutely wrong. I'm going to disagree with you. But I think that's where I don't know what people really want. I believe it's a dream project, right? And people are like, well, how is this a dream project? The dream project is giving it lights, making it so it is a carrier where things come off. You're getting multiple figures. You want to compare this to Gridiron. Well, I'm getting 3 figures and a bivouac with this, if it hits all the tiers, and I'm sure it will. And I'm getting an iconic vehicle with actual tires. Again, you can say what you want about Gridiron. It has hard tires, and that's, to me, that's problematic because they don't really roll. But the detail in the Gridiron is amazing because when they do that 3D printing and the way they do it, it's awesome. And I've probably reviewed more Gridiron stuff than anyone else. I'm probably starting to fall behind because I don't really do it anymore. But I've reviewed so much, and I'm usually pretty dead set on it. So I mean that it's pretty honest about how good it is. So just Jeff joining us, who was at DFW. I hope you had a blast. I know you were with Shane. I'm not sure. I think is he flying back tomorrow or driving back? I'm not sure if he's flying or whatever. So hope you guys had a blast at DFW. I know Matthew talked about it last night with Pop Blender. I jumped down there and watched it a little bit. I always have something going on. So anyway, I'm trying to think if there is anything else. Usually I go over a lot more. Oh, classic reviews. That's right. I finished up what I have for Series 3. Series 4 is it's in the process. I have the opening and ending of 6 figures. I haven't done the middle part. I haven't done the actual review yet. So I'm hoping to get that done. I only got to get one done by Wednesday, if possible, and then I can get the other ones done Friday and through the weekend. So anyway, those will be coming. Series 4, I can't believe I'm already on that. There's a whole bunch of figures. I have everything scheduled all the way out till 2026. Series 6 is where it's going to get interesting because I don't have nearly as many of Series 6 as all the other ones, but we'll worry about that when we get closer to 2026. So, all right. Well, I don't know what else there is really to discuss, but I do have some sponsorships that you guys know about. You know the Amazon link. So when you see the Amazon links, please hit it. It's the best way to support the channel. Also, Hella Dope Toys. They're going to be getting a lot of stuff in. You can see a lot of the independent stuff. Hopefully they got some Mythic Legions or 4 Horsemen stuff coming soon. That's really what I'm interested in. But if you're ordering from them, I know they dropped a lot of stuff. They got the Juggernaut in. They got the Juggernaut for pre-order. They got a lot of G.I. Joe stuff. If you use my code APWT, you'll get 10% off. But you don't really want to hear me say that. Y'all want to see Moss Man, right? So here we go.
Oh, hey guys. So Lawrence, he had to step away for a little bit. He's got a case of the grumble dust. So he asked me to kind of watch over his stream. He put me in charge of y'all. He said to me, "Oh, Moss Man, I have a case of the grumble dust, and I need you to watch myself for a little bit so nobody leaves and finds out that there's more interesting things to watch on YouTube. And also, I hate Ohio." So I was like, oh dang, so now I have to come up with a topic for my very own show. And I was like, oh, what about talking about your favorite toy stores? So my favorite toy store is HelloDopeToys.com. So they used to have this really bad website. It used to look real scammy. Like if I gave them money, they were gonna go spend it on like blow and hookers. But now their website is really nice, and like I can just go in and do like 1-2 click, and then my order's placed. And they ship super fast, guys. They ship everything in one business day. So like I get all my toys first. So when I'm out there on the playground and all my friends are like, oh dang mouse man, where'd you get that action figure? I still have to wait 17 months for mine. And I'm just like, well, I went to HelloDopeToys.com and I just push the buttons and then they shipped it out to me. And the packaging is so nice, guys. Like I opened up the box, I was like, oh, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this kind of packaging. It's so nice. But then my trash can gets full because of all the packing stuff. And I was just like, oh dang, I just changed the trash. But now I gotta change the trash again. Oh, you're right, Matthew Matson. You can use the code APWT at HelloDopeToys.com and save 10% on your order. So how that works is, so you're gonna save 10%, and then a Punk with Toys, he has to pay that 10% that y'all save. So if you don't like Lawrence, you can just go to HelloDopeToys.com and just buy a bunch of stuff and rack up his bill. So then like at the end of the month, they're like, Hello Dope Toys is like, oh, Lawrence, you owe us $1 million because of all the 10% codes that everybody used. And yeah, that's how that works. Okay, guys, so it looks like it's time for me to go now. So make sure you go to HelloDopeToys.com and like and subscribe, and then in the comments put what your favorite toy store is. But if it's not HelloDopeToys.com, I'm probably just going to delete it, okay? So, all right, guys, bye!
All right, Johnny. Okay, I just looked. I did get the label that was created. So yes, I did get the tracking. So that does tell me that even if Hasbro doesn't give me a tracking order for the Rattler, I'll still get it through the FedEx management app. So I see yours, unless they're shipping out of Chandler, but I believe they ship out of Chino. I still don't understand. I don't think any of us understand how they ship out the Haslabs. The last set, at least for the Dragonfly, I can't speak for other Haslabs. They just created a whole bunch of labels and they let them sit there and they drove people absolutely nuts. So maybe they're trying to avoid that this time, but it's really awkward because no one, not awkward, but really weird. Like no one understands like what their shipping logistics are. So who knows? I believe the majority, I think all 4 Haslabs, well, the 3 Haslabs, I guess, the 3 Haslabs that I've done, I've always gotten them late, like almost towards the end. So we got Big M jumping in here. We have Charles saying, "Hey, Punk, love the Snowcat." I was real happy with it. I have a hard. I don't know how people don't really like it. Unless if you're like, hey, you know what? I don't really care for snow. I live in the desert. That's just me. The bivouac. I think Matthew. I think it's safe to say that if this funds, there'll be a bivouac playset. Let's be honest. They're going to reuse as much as they can. They want to get as much out of it. So, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's going to. I think that it's going to fund. That's just me. Hank Day jumping in saying the Snowcat is all about Lady J and Flint having Avalanches while Frostbite plays chauffeur. That's be kind of cold out there while they're driving. Gun Bunny Customs joining in here. I think I said hi to US Combat Dojo. All right. And then Derek Holloman saying, still no notice for my Rattler. Yeah, I know. I'm the same way. Just it'll show up. I think what becomes the most fearful thing is something that expensive that there's no specific rollout, but people are getting it. You're like, I hope they didn't like lose it. I hope they didn't mess up, because it's not just something that, oh, hey, you know what? We'll send you another one. It works. It fucks with your psyche, because again, here you are, you waited so long and you're like, at least give me the shipping notification so I know that you're going to be shipping it, right? um, Tamor says the his tank was more versatile than the missile launcher Snowcat. I'm not. How do you mean it was more? I don't know how you mean that it was more versatile. If you mean like it's more versatile in the fact of the weapons, that is one complaint, and we're going to talk about it in the last hour of the show. Um, you know, that's it needs some guns. That was always my complaint on the Snowcat and on the Wolverine. Like once you ran out of missiles, what do you do? And I actually messaged Lenny and I said, hey, you know what? I really like it. It's great. I've already backed it. But you guys have said you're not done. Maybe just think about putting, you already have them molded 250 cals that go on the side. Because you need something, especially with photography. And that's one of the biggest things that I don't think people take into consideration. A lot of people may not do photography. So they think that kitchenette set is really stupid, but I'm going to tell you right now, the guys that do photography, even myself who is dabbling in it, that was one of the things I was super excited about because I'm like, that's going to be awesome to do, to do any type of photography. Elevate me to a higher human form. Goddamn, I got that right. Roadblock will love the sausage and eggs and a pan accessory. You're damn right. Jeff Russell says there were only about 2,100 quantity of the Rattler that arrived in shipping. More on the way. How did you find? I'm not doubting you because I know there's a lot of different sites that let people know. But how did you find that out? Because that is very interesting. Because last time they waited till they were all here, and then they started, producing that the shipping list. So I was just wondering where you heard that from. It's interesting, and I don't doubt you because we've heard stuff like that. So Plastic Battles has jumped in here. Check out his channel. Or he doesn't really do YouTube that much. I know you're getting into YouTube, but check out his Instagram. He was also on Thursday with the friend. Amazing photographer, honestly. Punk said, if you aren't back in the Snowcat to unsubscribe to his channel. Hey, if you're watching right now, I'm stuck in your algorithm, so it doesn't even matter. Mr. DeMarc says, can't stay for long. I actually wished they kept the lights text blue. Okay, man, because you're going to be leaving. When they said they were going to do it yellow, I was like, no, let's keep it blue. I thought the lights looked fucking badass like that. When I see the yellow, it reminds me of the like the yellow on fluorescent lights and stuff or LED lights. I'm like, no way, dude. Like, I like that. I thought that popped too. So I wish they'd keep that too. Manifest man. It's a small thing, but I like to steer. No, it's not a small thing when you deal with some of these other vehicles and stuff, and you're trying to get a figure in. I don't think it's a small thing. I actually think it's a big thing, and I think it's actually very. I think it's a real good thing that they did that. I have no problem getting rid of the seatbelts. I think that they've done it wrong. I said before, I've already seen how the Rattlers are. They're the same as a Dragonfly. And if you would have put the buckle on the top of the Dragonfly and the Rattler, when you take a picture with it on, it would work. But the problem is that it's on the bottom. And since it's on the bottom, you have to fit that together and it doesn't work that well. So removing that, I have no problem removing the seatbelts, but I like the adjustment of the steering wheel. I actually think it's really smart. Toy Object saying, weren't you on some cookie stream earlier today? I was with a bunch of fucking jerks. Yeah, Derek, we talked about that, and again, when I get into that, I wish, and Spec and I seem to have the exact same feeling. I wish they were like a Klingon, not like a Klingon Star Trek, but like a Klingon where you could put the Klingon over and just pull it off, because I'm not going to stick a sticker on it. And I think that would actually work a little bit better. Let's see. Father Son says, pass the word to Lenny that they must not miss the opportunity to make that missile module into a full offensive stationary weapon, a folding workstation and radar and controls, a playset in itself. I don't think that they can do that. Again, believe it or not, there are a lot of budgetary reasons, but we were talking about it earlier, and it looks like that piece just sits flat anyway, and you could put it up there. But then someone said, once you take the side pieces off where the snowpedos are, if it sits right up on top of it, you have your actual little missile. So I think it's gonna be made so you can use it, and that would be a huge missed opportunity. I didn't even think about it. I know Spec and Bobby B, when we were on the show, I don't know, an hour ago. They both had the exact same thought. I didn't even think about it, which is odd because when I reviewed the Valaverse Vanguard, that was one of the things that I said, that I wish that this missile rack could just be put on the ground, because the missile rack looked really nice. It's probably the nicest thing on the whole thing. So anyway, all right, let's get into a little bit of news. Don't go anywhere because we are going to talk a lot about the Haslab because it's probably the biggest news today, biggest toy news maybe. But we got a little bit of MOTU news. I'm waiting to see. Got 100 people watching right now. Please hit that like button before you leave to come back in a little bit. I actually don't have any McFarlane news, if you can believe that. That's what's crazy. All right. We got real Richard Sampson jumping in here. All right. So MOTU is dropping a new playset. This one runs like $99, which is pretty expensive for this. Now it does come with this figure who I do believe, please somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this is She-Ra before she comes She-Ra. I am not collecting MOTU anymore, but I know we have a lot of people that still do. But I'm going to reiterate, for these small figures, and these figures are created on a cheaper buck and everything. They started doing some really wonderful face sculpts. So I'm actually really happy with that. And Trust the Streamer says, holy crap, Jim Shooter died. If a comic book fan. I don't know who Jim Shooter is. But condolences, rip. Johnny says, I picked her up. No, that is a character with the hero timeline. Okay, thank you. Oh, that would cut her off her head. Well, that does explain why Hero is here. I thought, no, maybe I was thinking this was the Horde. Anyway, it's a pretty cool playset, and we'll get into it. Again, I'm not collecting MOTU anymore. I do think these things look really nice. I think that they have really upped their game when it comes to everything. There's no doubt about it. Okay, just plain yogurt. I do love this. Fright Zone playset is $92 plus shipping. Does not include any figures. Oh, okay. Then why the hell is she in here? You know what? I guess where is it at here? You think I know these things a little bit better, but I don't.
I don't go through all the graphics before the show.
There you go. Matthew says Jim Shooter was one of the most prolific editors at Marvel Comics in the 70s and 70s to the 90s. He was on the Joe book. All right, well, rip him. It's one thing we don't get out. None of us make it out of this world alive. So anyway, this is pretty neat. I know a lot of people have been expecting it. You get some reuse right here. I know people wanted a puppet because they had a puppet to begin with. but you don't get this. You get this big giant. I'm gonna call it a bear trap. I know someone's gonna yell at me and say it's not a bear trap, but they are giving you some play features, which is nice. I mean, technically these are meant for kids, so I think it's great to give them some cool different things like this. If anyone hears that noise, that's my son in the other room who's just as loud as obnoxious as can be. Uh, SCS dog jumping in here, and then we have, let's see, Dominic Johnson saying, "Hey Punk, what were your ranking on the Haslab so far? I know we don't have it at all in hand. I know we don't have all of them in hand, but anyway, hit that like button, guys. I mean, I don't have the Rattler yet, but I have a feeling I'm gonna say the Rattler's number one. Then probably the Dragonfly. Uh, Probably the Dragonfly. I really liked what I saw from the, from the Snowcat, but it's hard to say that one would be considered better because we haven't seen everything than the Hiss. I still like when you grab the Hiss and you take it down. It seems like it's been so long, but it is a very underrated vehicle. It's really nice. So, and Johnny says it's much bigger than the original and has a reverse side playset earlier. Also, rubber puppets deteriorate. I'm just saying what people complained about. That's all that I'm saying. But anyway, you do have. I mean, this guy looks like he's Modi, just an angry, enlarged Modi. You got those black crows up there. So again, in my opinion, pretty cool here, right? Again, if you're into MOTU, the price I think is really going to maybe deter a lot of people. But then again, if you're not getting a lot of stuff and you really like the origins, and it can be used with all the stuff that they're doing. The Turtles of Grayskull, the crossover with the Thundercats. So you can use this in many different ways, and you get this nice little beast. So, but I think I do like the crows. I do like the crows. Not $92 to get 3 crows, but they're pretty cool. But again, that design, it's pretty cool. I like the little beast mouth right over there. So, but for all you MOTU fans, there you go. I don't know why these got mixed in together, but they were mixed together. So I thought she came with it. So, oh well. Like I said, I don't know what's going on with MOTU anymore. There's your Horde Fright Zone. All right. And Killa jumping in here saying Snowcat boo. I mean, everyone knew that it was coming. It doesn't look like the original. It's beefed up, and it's beefed up in my opinion, a good way. It doesn't look like they just beefed it up to make it beef. But hey, whatever you like, that you get whatever you like, right? All right. So we're gonna jump on these loose collector stuff here. As you can see, I don't have a screen. This I know is loose collector. And we have Lady Death, which I do think looks wonderful. These went up on BBTS. I think they're about $90 each, somewhere right around there. And they look pretty good. There's the backside of her. I know there's a lot of people in the toy community that maybe fantasize too much on women's backsides, and that's all cool and all. And if you like that, there you are. You got her ass cheeks hanging out. They are sculpted pretty nicely. I like the wings. I really gotta say, I definitely enjoy these figures with these giant wings. There's just something about something that takes up a lot of space, especially when you don't have a lot. Maybe that's why I like the Haslabs. But loose collector dropping these. Well, dropping this one. There's another one after this. But all in all, that design is sculpted really nicely. Now, this is kind of, if you look at her lower region, this is kind of what I wish Boss Fight Studios would have done with our our friend run Sonia just because it constantly rides up. We got Kenzo's Creations jumping in here saying evening punk and chat. And we have a Damon Parker saying good evening all. All right. So if you are interested, like I said, these are available at BBTS, somewhere around $90. I don't even think $90 anymore. Like I hear $90 for an action figure. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. I don't, you don't even think too much about it. Here's Wargoth, and I gotta say, he looks good. Maybe looks a little bit like Roman Reigns. Maybe that's what he's supposed to be designed after. You guys can tell me. But I gotta say, this does look really good. I like the detail, the wash on them. That's by one gripe I would say having the Boss Fight Studios is there's not a lot of detail within her body. Like you just don't. I mean, there's a lot of detail, but not a lot of paint or any paint for that matter. So when you get a figure like this, she kind of stands out as one that doesn't have very much. Cobra Commander jumping in here saying, "Would you rather see a flat butt?" I think not. Okay, I did not say anything about not wanting it to look nice. I just think that some collectors over focus on that. All right. That's just it. But that's just me, But this guy here, look at these awesome skulls. I mean, this guy's got a cool skull necklace. Now, I don't know like what kind of babies he's been killing, because I don't even think babies have skulls that small. But he's got his knee pads. Again, that detail on it is really good, and he has those big old veins busting right over that, right over that bicep there. See, when I see things like this is where I'm really like, you look at the articulation, this detail, and this is where I hope that someone like Mythic Legions doesn't start to, or Four Horsemen does. They don't start to fall behind because they sit on their laurels of that articulation, which yes, it's gotten a little bit better, but unfortunately, it could be much, much better. So, but cool shield. You got the skull there with the horns. You got the axe with the big horns right there. You get an angry face or a yelling face, and again, like if you have a face like this, you got to make sure you have one that isn't always like that, because not everyone is screaming all the time. Not even me. So, and here he is riding a big werewolf. Did that work for you guys? Did I enunciate the L enough for you guys? Action Fix says those were completely Loompa baby skulls. You should be offended. They're using skulls of your relatives. The guy is so mean. I can't believe I let him be a moderator and stay in the same hotel room as me. So anyway, this is Wargoth. Again, loose collector. Again, I don't have any of these figures, but they look really nice, and I think they'll fit in with your Savage Crucibles, Mythic Legions, all that other type of good stuff. So, and then here's a hottie right next. I mean, this guy is obviously he's picking up the chicks. I mean, if you got abs like that and you got biceps like that, you can pretty much pick up any whore you want. I mean, did I say that out loud? And Highest Me says, F you, punk. His mom sculpted those skulls for him. Why are you effing me? What did I say? So anyway, here's everything that he does come with, including his baby skulls, his angry face, different hands, a loincloth to go over, whatever. All right. So we have some Mafex that had dropped. Now, you guys may end up telling me that, hey, you know what? Some of this stuff is repaints. Because I was watching Robo Don't Know this Saturday, and he was going over it. I think some of these are like con exclusives. So we have something from the boys. I can't think of his name right now. But this is the bloody variant. And it really works with him because Well, he does a lot of murdering. I'm not going to say killing. He does a lot of murdering in The Boys. And if you don't know, this guy is pretty much Superman if Superman didn't have any rules. And this face here, I think, like the blood splattered all over it. I think it kind of fits. It kind of fits him, to be 100% honest. It's not very cartoonish when you have the blood, so you can't see exactly how it is. Homelander, thank you very much. I do know that. I just could not remember. The soft goods, red and white cape. Obviously, he has the blue. But yeah, he's supposed to be Superman. Have they done any crossovers with Superman versus Homelander? Because I would love to know how they do that. Right? There's no way Superman could lose to Homelander. I would assume that they wouldn't let him. So, but you have the Stars and Spangles right there. Stars and Spangles. But yeah, basically, anyone that has a flag, as you know, it's not ever supposed to touch the ground. The U.S. flag. All right. But here's the different faces that he has. I think this is a really good bloody variant. Not something that I'm going to be, jumping in, but again, I think it looks really good. We have Lost Ranger jumping in here. I know that a lot of names have changed, so I don't feel like I've ever seen you before. And if you're new, awesome. If your name's changed, welcome back. And John E says Superman is much stronger. I assume that he would be. Okay, Viper Scout says the same thing. Superman is way overpowered. I think all the DC characters are normally overpowered, but it's what makes them DC. And Lost Ranger saying, "I'm new. Thank you. Wonderful to have new people. I haven't got any messages from my moderator to let me know. Anytime I say, hey, are you new? Usually he sends me a message saying, dude, that guy's been in here for the past, 5 months. So here is a Batman, and I gotta say this looks really good. But it is a repaint. All right. So you have the yellow, the classic yellow, but on the gray and black, which I think looks really, really damn good. Ed says he's new. I checked. MC, yeah, I'm with you. I think that's why DC, the animated movies work so much better than their live action. I think their live action, when you're so overpowered, it makes things difficult. Where in animation, you can get away with it. You don't think like, oh my God, you're Batman. He's completely beat up all the time. He shouldn't be able to deal with that. But yeah, this is something that is, I just think that's where they kind of, miss it. So, Johnny says Homelander can lift a passenger place to rescue passengers. Homelander can't. I think you meant one was supposed to be Superman. Rad Toys Galaxy has joined us, and I want to give a big shout out to this guy because he came through Michigan on his way back from Joefest. We went to Sergeant Red's. We hung out. Great to meet him and the pirate. So I had a blast hanging out with him. It's great to meet some guys in real life. Just so if you're in this community and you haven't met anyone, in real life, you gotta start to, because we got a lot of good people in this community. And then Jeff is saying, "Fuck this figure, fucking con exclusive." There's always been those type of exclusives. We just don't always get everything. So, and he's available. I mean, again, you can probably get it. Good evening, Lawrence, chat friend from Augusta. You're not from Augusta. I think you're saying good evening to the friends you made from Augusta. Batman seems to have a hell of a package here. I think the cape looks awesome. Good soft goods, just they really make things pop. So, two different face sculpts. I do like this one a lot. I see why Jeff's kind of mad. Debo DNA or Derek jumping in here. And Rad Toys is saying it was awesome hanging with you. You were a big help with the shopping at Sergeant Red's. Rad Toys was sitting there and he wanted something out of the detolf, but he was buying some stuff. And John's like, come on. He's like, you're on vacation. John gives me the keys and he goes, go get the blue figure for him. Pretty much John made him buy it. He wasn't arguing that bad, but John pretty much made him buy it. Yeah, I think this Batman looks awesome. So, Jeff, I can kind of understand why you're a little upset that it's an exclusive, but let's be honest. If we really want something, we can all find a way to get it. And if we don't really want it that bad, then we won't find a way to get it. So there's his batarang, or I'm sorry, his batter rope. Is that what you would call it? Hope this thing doesn't come back and kind of hit him in the head. Here's Spider-Man. I think this is no wait. This one is this one up on BBTS? I thought they showed one that was up on BBTS, and I know Jeff. I know you're a huge Spider-Man fan. So Spider-Man in the black and red outfit. Actually, this is Miles Morales. So, and I know more Spider-Man because everyone loves Spider-Man with his articulated toes, which I do think they do need, but that stupid little, as much as they hide the articulation on all of this stuff, having those nice little holes right there for the articulation toes really breaks the aesthetic, and not in a good way. So, Hi as me says, I only collect Batman and Ninja Turtles. I have collected 5,000 new figures this year so far. Kenzo says, what's crazy is all over the place as my collection is. I don't own one Spider-Man. I guess I should get one. You know what's funny is that I only have two. One being the Ben Reilly, because I always like the Ben Reilly outfit. And then that Maximum Spider-Man. And Kenzo, I'll tell you what, man, that Maximum Spider-Man, I know a lot of people don't want to spend $50 on it, but I'm happy with the play that I've got out of it. Just like the Maximum Hulk that I have. Jake Anderson jumping in here saying, hey, Punk, Circle of Jerks was fun. You're not supposed to say that out loud, all right? It's a dirty secret. Rachel Salinas jumping in here. All right. But I do like this figure, although he seems kind of tall. He seems kind of tall for Miles Morales, but maybe that's just the angle or the shot that they've actually taken. So, whew. Okay, we're actually moving pretty quickly. You know, I don't think the Haslab is going to fund tonight, but it would be awesome if it does. What are we at right now? I can hit that refresh really quick here. We're now at just under 5,000 backers. So I wonder if this thing will fund by tomorrow. All right. SH Figure Arts. Now this thing dropped while we were on while we were on vacation. Well, I guess we were on vacation. Us Joefesters were on vacation. And I gotta say that I happened to tune into Yojo Jerk and Toy Games, the Mega Powers, and they had some pretty interesting things to say about this. And I know people didn't know that SH Figure Arts was getting into the Gamerverse also. I don't know that's a lot of Gamerverse. So we'll quickly take a look at this figure, and there was just some things that they kind of pointed out that I don't think you notice until it's pointed out. Kind of like, Wolverine looks like Batman kissing. You guys know that, right? You got 91 people watching. If you guys don't know, I'm going to ruin Batman for you forever. It's that, or ruin Wolverine for you. Is this Wolverine here? It looks like Batman kissing Batman. And you'll never be able to not see it again. And the fact that it really hits with this one. All right. Look at this. Pays Toy Samples jumping in here saying, stop beginning to say hi. Stop beginning to say, hey, kids. First Haslab, I'm not backing. Love the bivouac, but not enough to get something I don't want. You had like a whole winter diorama built at one time, and you don't want this? That's crazy. I'm looking at it right now, and I'm like, I want it right this very second. But I understand. And there's Clint Jorgensen. People in Midway haven't got off work. People in Midway haven't got off work yet. Once they all are off work, we'll get over AK. Who's not off work yet? Well, Payne, you just make the diorama bigger. It's just that, I mean, you made it so it fit the hiss. You just gotta expand it just a little bit. I'm just saying. 44D2 says Snowcat is going to kick ass. I can't wait. I gotta say, I do love it how polarizing the Snowcat is. Anyway, Matthew had made a comment saying that he hates the hips on this, and I think this is where a lot of the jokes kind of came from. This looks really weird. I mean, it almost looks like he's wearing a banana hammock. Like if you painted the hips blue, he would be wearing a banana hammock. This shot, there is so much wrong with this shot in so many ways. First off, I can see the G-string that he's wearing. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this other than no one in the room said, don't fucking post that picture. But yeah, it's weird. And yeah, the hips and everything, it may do wonders for posing or for articulation, but we do pretty well on other figures. I don't know why they decided to go with the G-string. This here, I think this is just the angle, but you can really see his butt cheeks hanging out. I think the face sculpt looks good. I'm not sure if I really care for the wrists and how they're set up, but to each their own. All in all, I think if you change the waist, this is a really good looking figure. But you can't just change the waist. Looking well hung banana hammocks jumps in saying, thanks for giving me a shout out, Punk. We got Thor Anacostia. Dude, is that an effing butt shot? I'm telling you, like somebody should have been like, no. HK Vipers says the ass Cyclops. The Lilith jumping in here saying, hello, everyone. Just wanted to say hello and just want to say thank you to Punk for his vintage toy reviews on the original A Real American Hero line. I've been enjoying them. Keep up the great work. You know what? Thank you. That means an awful lot to me. They really have been starting to grow and get better. So that really does mean a lot to me. I mean, I'm going to do them either way, but it is nice to know that people are enjoying them because it's great to go back and look at this stuff. So G.I. Bro says, this is getting weird. I think I like it. Nothing's going to be weirder than The Ronnie Trickshot deciding to do a pose off with you. Yes, that happened. That happened at the pool. Ronnie Trickshot and his very, 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 very extremely pale body decided to do a pose off with GI Bro. This is a good shot of him shooting up in the air. Now, see, right here, it doesn't look bad. Like, at this point, it doesn't really look that weird. I think this looks pretty good, but I think we all see exactly what the issue is. So, and you do like this, like this. This is a kind of cool. If this is like part of the packaging, what they do, and you can do some pretty good photography with it. So, whew. My goodness, we're getting through stuff fairly quickly here. Yes, that was awesome. This is why you got to go to Joefest, because you never know who's going to decide to have a pose off. Again, I think before Joefest, if you would have said, hey, who's going to have a pose off against GI Bro, I think 100% of people would have said that it was me, but it wasn't. It was Ronnie Trickshot. And let's just say it should not have been. But that's what makes Joefest so awesome. SCS Dog says, so do you finally have a mascot action figure for Club Tarkin? I don't speak about Club Tarkin. I didn't want any pictures. No, he did. He wanted all of the smoke. All right, there is no doubt about it. Look, and that says Ronnie made Bro look so small. Dude is jacked. Oh my gosh. Red Toys is saying so funny. Those are game accurate poses. Okay, just because something's game accurate doesn't mean we need to see it. Clint Jorgensen says, did anyone here get in the elevator with Sarge Friday night, or is that story not out yet? The Sarge was a little, how we say, toasted. His handler, who's probably a little bit taller than me and not as big as I am, according to Ed, I'm as wide as I am tall. Let's just say Sarge is a bigger man, too big of a man for that guy to really move around. And Sarge was drunk. He stumbled out of the bar, across the lobby, somehow made it into the elevator. But you know what? He was back up the next day and back at his booth, no problem. So, all right. So while I was gone, a little bit of mask dropped, and then there was some stuff that actually popped up today. I think I put it in here. So the only thing that we saw was the artwork and a couple other things, the bonuses that came with this. So they are really incentivizing it to spend $100 on this. I'm really interested in these, but I don't know if I can justify a whole different scale and all vehicles. I mean, they don't fit with, the O-ring figures, and definitely don't fit with classified. And I don't have unlimited amount of space. But you are going to get technically 4 figures. Or you want to say 3 figures and a little scooter figure. Technically 2 different vehicles as it breaks apart. So this is, again, this looks really, really good. And it will be available 7/1. So when does that happen? Is that tomorrow? But yeah, and I know a lot of people are excited. Jeff, are you still here? Now, are you going to be purchasing these? Because I know that I know that you are a huge mask guy, but I'm wondering, is this something you're going to be picking up? I know you've kind of gone, people gone back and forth on the fence on it. So Yes, Sarge is invincible. I would not say he was invincible that day. um, Debo says Sarge's knees were touching, leaving the bar. um, yes, Taz. He says Aussies are built different. Um, in many different ways. Cobra Commander says I'm definitely making room for Mask. I'm really interested, but I gotta say the detail in this, the disappointing. I think what's most disappointing with something like this is there's no real chrome. That's something that we get with the other one, with the original. But I think that the design on this, I like the blast effects. I like them giving you two different helmets. They're really doing a lot, I think, in my opinion, to incentivize you to get it. Again, you can make them dance. We've already gone over that with the electric lights and everything. But yeah. Oh, Tatsi, I know what you're referring to. I know what you're referring to. T-Bob is a mobility scooter. But he's technically a character also, right? So you're technically getting 4 figures with this. All right. So, and these look to be very digital renders, but I don't know how you could screw this up. But, I didn't put it in there. Earlier today, I thought I put this in. I meant to. There's another picture that came out of all the boxes. So, all the boxes, what everything looks like. I think it's I think we're going to see that Mask is not as popular as a lot of people think that it is to be done in 1/12 scale. Again, I go back to you should do this in 1/18 scale. Especially, I would love for Hasbro to actually allow them to do 1/18 scale O-rings again. It seems like Transformers are the only ones that are allowed to do it, and they're doing G.I. Joes, and they're not updating anything. As I was looking at my Delta 17s and I was doing the review, the advance, the progression of O-rings has been, your straight arm to your swivel arm to the next looking down. I think and then to the wrist now swiveling. Everyone but Super 7 and Hasbro don't want to add the wrist. But I think it's time that these companies, Delta 17, Ken, if you're listening, Steve, if you're listening, I think it's time to make it so the head can look up a little bit. So you can look up to the sky, especially considering one of you guys wants to make a helicopter. Also for snipers, and when you're trying to pose them, then they can kind of bend down. I've been saying I think there should be ankle swivel, not ankle articulation, ankle swivel, so it can just swivel back and forth. You could pose your figures 100 times better if they would do something like that. But I feel like a lot of the O-ring guys, they don't want to advance it. They don't want to change too much, but you're not going to break the aesthetic by doing stuff like that. That's the biggest thing when it comes to O-ring. People don't want to break the aesthetic. The wrist didn't break the aesthetic, so giving a swivel ankle isn't going to break the aesthetic, and just making it so a head can look up a little bit, I think it'd do wonders for sales and stuff like that. So, Jake Anderson, I know it would cost more. They should have done 1/18 for Mask. They should, especially with this. I'm not gonna say the revival of the O-ring because I don't think the O-ring is coming back like a lot of other people feel. I still enjoy it. And I know there's a lot of other people that do enjoy it. And I was listening to Matthew say that when he saw Valaverse show off their new O-rings, he kind of got excited for it. I don't think that it's coming back. I think it's always been there. And the 1/18 scale is always going to be there. But as of right now, the 1/12 is where it's at. But to make sure you have vehicles, why wouldn't you? Because how many people would buy the Mask stuff that are G.I. Joe collectors that are like, man, I just want a semi with my G.I. Joes. All right. I want a Camaro with my G.I. There's so many different things. And I think that, again, I think you do wonderful. But hey, I don't create toys. I just created a show to talk about them. GI Jetman jumping in here, who was live. I think you were live a little bit earlier today talking about the Haslab. I just want to say I'm very happy and proud of you that you are putting out content. You're going live. That's the hardest part, is just putting yourself on there and saying, you know what, I'm going to go live. So if you haven't yet, please head on over, follow this guy, GI Jetman. Ed, Matthew, could you post a link to his channel? I think he's got like 57 followers or something. Go over, give him a follow. We need to support each other. I don't think there's enough of that, to be honest. All right. So this was shown off at Joefest. And that is Skeletron. And they didn't have a lot of new stuff to show off. They still have the awesome Robo Skull. If you don't have the Robo Skull, and you can 47 subscribers. So he has 47 subscribers. I have 99 people watching right now. There is no reason why he should not be sitting there, let's say, at 75 subscribers. So right there, Ed has put a link to it. Head on over there, hit subscribe. I think that he can hit easily, right? I don't think it's gonna be a problem. He should be able to hit well over 70, right? I mean, 23 of you, come on, head on over there, give this guy a subscribe. And again, it's hard for anyone to get going, so let's see what we can do for this guy. All right, 51 subscribers already. Look at that, you've already jumped a few. All right, so they showed off the Yeti. Yes, this is an O-ring. This is real. I didn't know that they were going to do more O-ring stuff, but the one thing that Skeletron, Callsign Longbow, Callsign Longbow are doing is they're using a lot of the same parts. I'm not sure if Operation Recall is going to do that. Though I do think they're all coming out of the same factory. Matthew, I did, but I did not save it. So yeah, there is another Skeletron figure that is coming out, another pilot. He's a modern 4-inch figure, but I did not save it. I don't even remember where I saw it at. But anyway, yeah, this is real. Like the big claws, and if you look at it, I believe I think the face sculpt and everything is something that's being done with Callsign Longbow. But they are doing, like I said, some of the same stuff. So it's cool. I know people want, you get some O-ring guys here. So this is some of the artwork for it. It's got Skeletron logo right there. Again, pretty fucking cool. So same time, Toys is jumping in here saying War Chest. That's awesome. I don't even know what War Chest said. I did meet Same Time Toys. He said, please don't tell anyone, I want a surprise. And then I found out he told like everyone. So there was no surprise that he was showing up to Joefest. All right. 56 people, 56 subscribers to GI Jetman right now. Let's keep it coming. All right. 99 people watching. I bet we can get him over 100, right? So if you're just tuning in right now, here, I'm going to hit it one more time. Right there. Make sure you head on over there. It doesn't take much. You don't have to leave the channel. All right. But there we go. There's the actual face of him. He's got his 2 swords. It is translucent. Yeah, it's a must-have. All right. Let's be honest. This is cool. I don't have enough room for everything. I've actually decided that next year, I believe my project is going to be get rid of that brick bar in the basement, which is not going to be fun at all. But I think it's something that we can do. GI Jetman now is up to 59 subscribers. So thank you, everyone. But again, there's 95 people watching. He has 59 subscribers. That fucking math ain't mathin'. So get on over there and hit subscribe, man. All right. And here's the Yeti weapon supplier. So you can just kind of see Aaron Roma. If you don't know, he passed away earlier. Was it earlier this year or late last year? I think it is awesome what Skeletron has done. They really pay homage to people in the community, the designers, and people that have helped out. So I think this is absolutely awesome. And, you know, not enough nice things can be said. Okay. But there you go. Hopefully everyone will back this, because I'm sure they're probably going to do something with the proceeds. I would hope so. You know, you're going to use someone's likeness that has, you know, passed away. Now, hopefully that they will, you know, the proceeds are going to go to help the family. So, Matthew Madsen says that's another tribute figure to a community member who passed away last year. Yeah. And again, I think it's wonderful. Not everyone would do that, you know. The guys at Skeletron, amazing. I mean, they were truly amazing. I talked to Ben for quite some time. He actually remembered. He's like, "Yeah, dude, I've talked to you before on, like, because he's made comments before." So he remembered some of the comments that he made on like Instagram, like us going back and forth and everything. And again, awesome guys, man. Everyone, like all those vendors there, they're just such good guys, dude. That's why I love to support a lot of these people. Ray Black jumping in here saying, "Hey, Lawrence and chat." And Matthew saying Ben is great. Yep. All right. So this is another one. Like this guy here, I sat there and we were talking. So I'm sitting there, I'm talking to him at BBTS. And it's Bill from Fresh Monkey Fiction, and he says, you know, "Hey, I want to say thank you for all the reviews you do." And he goes, you know, because I really enjoy what you do, and you go through everything. And I'm like, "Oh, you actually watch them?" And he's like, "Yeah, I watch all of them." I'm like, "Okay." And like, you know, we're just talking a little bit more, and then he goes, "Whatever happened with the copyright strike?" And that's when it dawned on me, oh yeah, we had that big, huge back and forth. Because of the copyright strike bullshit that I was going through. I totally forgot that him and I had like a pretty good conversation going back and forth back to those bullshit copyright strikes. But Fresh Monkey Fiction, once again, I know we're waiting. I know a lot of this stuff is repainted stuff, but what they do is awesome. And here's why it doesn't bother me that I'm waiting. Because I have not spent a dime. Well, I take that back. They have taken some money for the big 6-pack of figures and I think the 5-pack of figures. That's the only thing. But they're not taking everything up front, and I'm not sitting here waiting years. And I do mean years on some Kickstarters that I've backed. So, Fresh Monkey Fiction, and we're going to start off with Cops and Crooks. Now, I'm showing this because it's Fresh Monkey Fiction. I definitely want to support them because they're, again, nice people, nice guys. I have no interest in this figure whatsoever. And even after seeing it and seeing all these beautiful promo pictures, it does nothing for me. I still can't see him not wearing a like an old aerobic suit, even though that's his mechanical body. But I just have no interest. But I know people are super excited for this Cops and Crooks. So, you know, he does come with some soft good stuff. which I don't think looks bad. But I'm gonna have more than enough Fresh Monkey Fiction or Big Bad Workshop stuff that I don't need to justify all this. But yeah, G.I. Jetman says that Yeti fits well with the Snowcat. Yeah, it does. It and I have an extra Snowcat. Um, but yeah, I know a lot of people are waiting for this. It was shown off last year. It went up for pre-order, but again, pre-order means nothing. Who knows when they're actually going to get here, when they're supposed to be done. So, but yeah, like this here does absolutely nothing for me. But there are people that love it. So, if you're one of them, here is the his overcoat that he's wearing, his trench coat. There's the body, and looking at it, it looks like the arms are probably what we already have, but everything else it's different for sure. I do like the badge sculpted into the hand. I don't care for the gun. Briefcase is cool, but yeah, it's again, I think people are gonna like this. People want this, but yeah. War Chest says, I was hyped for Cops Line. However, I didn't like this offering at all. It's not what I thought it would be. But from what I understand, this is exactly what Cops and Crooks wore back. I don't remember it at all. So, DJ 5 jumping here saying, looks like a trench coat Michael Scott used in the office. It does. Yes, it does. Ed says they are still working on this too, not final product for Bulletproof. Yeah, again. So that is something I know that does bother a lot of people. And G.I. Jetman is saying, was that a Saturday morning cartoon? Chat, do you know if that was Saturday morning cartoon? Because I do not remember. I don't remember Cops and Crooks at all. I kind of remember the logo, but I don't remember anything about it. But people went batshit crazy over it last year. So, but we're going to get into Soldiers of Fortune, and I think that these are really nice. This and the other stuff, the Operation Monster Force, that's the stuff that has me really excited. So, first off, we're going to wave to the Agent, and again, more repaint. This is a gridiron gun. This is actually the M16 that Johnny gave me that goes with his the custom grunt that he did for me. I don't believe the pistol is a gridiron, but that M16 I'm almost positive is. If you notice, he's kind of... Actually, I'm just noticing that they put it in a different direction, but I think it's the same hand. Yeah, it's the exact same hand that goes with these the Cops and Crooks. So, 3 different blast effects, a smoke effect, 2 different weapons, and a few different hands. Suit body, which is... I don't think it's the same suit that the Forgotten King and Dracula are using, but I think it looks good, and I think a lot of people are going to love this type of stuff. Wave 2 tan camo deco. It's hard just to not want a whole shitload of these. And the good thing is, if you buy one of each, then you're going to have a whole shitload, because let's be honest, this here is going to be like what Valaverse has done with their base figures, where there's going to be so many different colors, because why not? It only makes sense. People are going to order them. People want to buy them. There are completists. And they just look good. And they can go in with the Cobra. They can go in with G.I. Joe. They can be a separate faction. Or you just use them, with your Operation Monster Force or your Soldiers of Fortune. All right. Andrew Taylor jumping in here saying, Henry Peter Gurich? I don't know. I know that's not me. HK Viper saying, I'm all in Operation Monster Force and Soldiers of Fortune, but I'm good on Typo Billy Blanks. You and me both, man. You and me both. Toy Matrix jumping in here saying, "Yo, punk, yo, chat." Woo! Fighting crime in a future time. All right. So here is the blue version of them. And again, I think a lot of people might look at this and think it kind of looks like Firefly. I know Firefly is more gray, but you can kind of work this blue into it. All the same accessories, only 2 blast effects, different gridiron gun. You can see gridiron right there. And I'm interested to see how these helmets are, because we haven't gotten any helmets like this, but you can see the nods on it, different masks. So it does make it nice where you army build these and you can have separate looking figures. That's the biggest thing, right? Is having separate figures. So not everyone looks the exact same. Yep, Shockwave. I can see that. But yeah, just, or maybe that's his team. Maybe this could be Shockwave's team for you. Considering, again, once you have the helmet on it and then the mask that goes over, you've created these different looks on these different characters. So the one thing that I will say, if that's the same vest, which I think that it is, the same vest that comes with, of course I don't have the vest here. Actually, I put the vest away. This vest is problematic in many ways for the fact that where the knife is and where the knife is molded in and the pouch is on the other side, they're very bulky and get in the way. That's one thing that I will say I'm a little disappointed in. Rad Toys Galaxy saying army builders. Yay. I don't know if you're being serious or not. All right. So here's your gear pack. You got a scar, couple blast effects. Now, I have to say this. One of the really cool things about their vests are you can see the plugs there. And there's two, and these are vests that they already have in the Operation Monster Force. Well, you can actually plug either or vest into the lower half. And let's say you just want to have a different vest, you can plug other things into it. The one lower piece is actually a holster for the small gun. But these are going to be really good just for your G.I. Joe. I know how well the Valivers do, but I also know a lot of people are tired of buying Valiver stuff and they don't want to support the guy. So this is something else where you have another option if you are doing customs and you're like, I need something else. These vests give you a whole bunch of different options. They're also giving you a beret. They're giving you the boonie hat. So, and they also give you pauldrons. Fuck pauldrons. They're stupid. And then the head pack. Now, this is really cool, obviously, because these heads pop off super easy. All right. Now, this is an actual Marvel Legends head. I had to change the neck and everything. The necks come off almost too easily once they start popping off. But if you've noticed, a lot of the G.I. Joe figures that are coming, they're making the heads and the necks also pop off, which would be great for the army builders or for those green shirts, because if you can swap these out, awesome. And these look very similar to the original Joes, the 12-inch figures. Hell, they almost look like they're flocked, even though I don't believe they are. I don't know. It's some other company. They do some military stuff. Bobby B really likes their stuff. He keeps buying it. So, but yeah, this is nice. You got two different eraser heads, or at least in two different masks. So I'm not overly excited on how much money I have to spend. I don't have to spend money on anything. How much I'm going to spend, but I am overly excited to get this type of stuff. This one here, I hope they're doing a huge run. All right. Can we all kind of agree they need to be doing a hell of a run on this? Johnny, like, so Johnny pretty much created this figure for me. And now Fresh Monkey Fiction is doing it. I don't know where I put the M16. But this is, if you want to recreate your OG 13, man, here it is. You're going to be able to recreate so many of these. But when you look at the head sculpts, you have the black and the white face, but all the different masks, so you can completely arm this, these figures up, along with going back to the other thing, like the other, whatever it's called, weapons pack. Then you get the head pack. There's so much stuff that you can do with this stuff, and it's going to be universal across their lines. So, and I've already seen how the Operation Monster Force, this guy here, here's one of them. And if you look at that, that is Big Ben's alternate head sculpt. So the next will fit onto it. So I think you're getting a lot of G.I. Joe head sculpts on this. And then just this, this pack right here. So it can be a lot of different things that you can do. We have Travis jumping in here saying Fresh Monkey crushed it again. Just hope Wave 2 ships soon. They should be shipping soon. I think August. So I would expect August to maybe start getting some stuff. All right. Operation Monster Force. And they're going pretty heavy with some female figures. So here is Merida Seke. Now I'm trying to think. Was she Van Helsing's ex-wife, or is it the next figure? Either way, she kind of has that Dreadnought vibe, maybe that Zorana vibe, which we've seen in other figures before. So I think this, again, we don't see what the paint looks like, so it's hard to know exactly what the paint is, going to look like. But the fact is, looking at the hair, the hair sculpt and everything, you can probably think she's going to fit with the Dreadnought if that's how you want it to go. And here we have Skunkworks jumping in here saying, I'm in on a Soldiers of Fortune. Oh, dude. I think you're gonna like them, even though you're usually you're a 12-inch figure normally. Edward Stamanaski saying, I was really happy with the Snowcat. I backed it already, but I think the new figures are what made it. And what made it. And is it just me, or did this really have to be a Haslab? Yes, because they want to give you everything. They want to do lights. We're going to talk about it once we get done with this. The last hour I'm devoting to the Haslab. So. And then someone else had jumped in here too. Radnam, right? There we go. Radnam saying, hey, what's up, Larry and company? I was waiting for my little computer. I didn't get a computer. Did I only not get a computer because I didn't go to DFW? That's some bullshit. Just messing with you, Radnam. Though I like those little computers that you did, man. Like, that was really smart of you, man, to give those out at DFW. All right. So this was supposed to be before this. All right. So here we have Chatsworth. And if I am correct, Ed, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that they are doing this themselves. I don't believe that they are having anyone else make it like they did with the what was the werewolf? I can't think of it. So I'm perfectly fine with that because I'm not super happy with the werewolf. I don't think it's awful, but if you were to buy that, you would be like you'd have a completely different feeling for the Big Bad Workshop Fresh Monkey Fiction figures because, in all honesty, they don't feel the same. Now he comes with a bunch of donuts, 3 different head sculpts. You gotta love the Rambo one, the big giant minigun. Uh, big blast effect for a couple different hands. But yeah, this is a big beefy fucking figure, which is awesome because now I have someone that can go up against a werewolf in that line. So, all right, let's do this one more time. Well, we'll do it another time right now. Head on over here. 90 people watching. Please hit that like button if you haven't, but also click that link. Subscribe to GI Jetman. Let's see how close we can get him to 100. All right. He's sitting at 61 subscribers right now, 12 videos. You know what? We get him to 100. I'm going to help him work on his thumbnails so he can get more subscribers because why not? Anyway, I know Ed is all in on all this Operation Monster Force stuff. So, where did I see that at? HK Viper says, does Chatworth go up on the 19th? I think it's the 18th. Pre-order, July 18th. All right. Agent Harker. Actually, Agent Harker, I think this is the ex-wife of I forget his fucking name. Van Helsing. So obviously this is just a great digital render of it. I asked the question and then I was mocked by somebody. But I asked the question, is there a chance to get Buffy the Vampire Slayer into the line? And it's an honest question. I would love to see Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I would love to see Angel. And they said probably not due to legal reasons and, just all that type of, getting the rights. But they said you may see a blonde character, which is perfectly fine by me because I can name my fucking figures anything I want, and that's who they are. But I need a Buffy the Vampire Slayer in a lineup that has a whole bunch of vampires. And I would love to get an Angel. I wouldn't mind a Spike either, but I need Angel. I think that would be awesome. That's where they should look to license. I think it'd do awesome. Says she was Bride of Dracula. Agent Harker was? Then maybe the other one, because I swear they said one of them was Van Helsing's ex-wife. Ed, you were there. Do you remember that also? Worcester, so were you, but you were too busy trying to make jokes. But she does look awesome. Obviously, these new female bucks, there's going to be all new accessories and everything. So, and then Order of Saint Joan of Arc. This is what they showed. Badass nuns. I don't even know what to think about these. But the Order of Saint Joan of Arc, again, they are going heavy with the women in this one. So Matthew Madsen says she was Jonathan Harker's wife, Keanu Reeves in the movie. Okay. Harder is, I believe, is Van Helsing's ex. So is that the... Did I miss one? Or maybe I haven't got to it yet. Either way, they did say something about that. But I don't know. Did we ever think we were going to get something like this? I believe that this was one of them that they showed off last year. That they had just some real bad digital renders of. So, but yeah. And then I think this, I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong. I think that this is the this was the showstopper of this female wave, and that is Red Riding Hood. And the awesome cloak that she has, the weapons, these are all new weapons that we haven't seen before. I'm definitely looking forward to this. This is pretty fucking badass. It's just something different. It's unique. This is something, I mean, I guess you could work it into your G.I. Joe or Marvel Legends, but to me, this is what just fits perfectly into Operation Monster Force. So and they showed this one off last year. Now, when they're going to do this, I don't know, but we definitely need to. Definitely waiting for this one. But anyway, there you go. That is all of the Operation Monster Force stuff. So look at this. We actually got to it. We're actually getting to the topic, which is the Haslab before 11 o'clock. I need to take a break. So I'm going to ask one more time. There's 99 people watching, okay? We're about to jump to a commercial. We have G.I. Jetman has 64. I said I wanted to get him up to at least 70. I think we can do better than 70 because we have 100 people watching right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this right here, all right? And I'm going to play 2 commercials back to back just so I can kind of relax. But you're going to have time to go ahead and go over there, hit subscribe, and get this guy up to at least 70. If we can do 100, that would be even fucking better. But let's sit back and hear from Mossman.
Oh, hey guys, what's going on?
Mossman, what are you doing back here?
Oh, you see, so Skeletor, he had to go to the grocery store. He had to go buy more barbecue Pringle chips. And so he's put me in charge here for a little bit. In charge of y'all. He said, man, Mossman, I have to go to the grocery store, so I need to put you in charge of Snake Mountain. Mwahahahaha.
Yes, that's Skeletor. That's Skeletor. Right.
Skeletor said since I was in charge, I could use the credit card and maybe go online and buy some action figures for myself.
Oh, some action figures sound kind of nice. Yes. Maybe we can go to Big Ben.
Yeah, Beastman, we don't say that around here. We go to HellDopeToys.com. They have the best prices in town, and they ship everything in one business day. One business day, Beastman. That means I buy it, and it comes to my house super fast, and they pack it all real nice. So when I go to do my YouTube reviews for my 5 subscribers, I'll be like, oh, look at this minty fresh packaged box that I got from HellDopeToys.com. So what are we waiting for, y'all? Let's go get that credit card and head on over to HellDopeToys.com right now before they run out of all the good stuff.
Idiots! Incompetent buffoons! What is it now, Commander? Consummate morons, incapable of coherent thought! Are you watching that show again? Yes. Why didn't you just watch Pop Blender and Matthew's discussions, news, reviews before the show came out? Whether you agree or disagree, the perspectives provide enough context to know if the show or movie is worth your time or not. Yes, I know. I will not miss another Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central on Pop Blender's channel. Be more than once a man by watching Pop, Lender, and Matthew talk about pop culture, news, discussions, and reviews on Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. And now you know. Televiper, be sure to hit like, share, and subscribe so we do not miss another episode. And hit that bell notification.
All right. For all the people saying that they can grumble duff, I don't have enough time. I need at least a 10-minute commercial for that. I do want to say Andrew Taylor saying Red Riding Hood has Quentin Tarantino vibe. I agree. Like, I think you kind of nailed it right there. I think that actually that sounds just about right. But yeah, it's it does again, I don't know. We don't see what the other ones look like. We've seen Joan of Arc. I think that looks good. But the Red Riding Hood looks way, in my opinion, way better. Maybe it's just a red that just really, really pops. But I will be interested to see the other ones. And I do hope one has blonde hair and has some likenesses to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's me says, were you yelling at your son for grumble duffing? I don't care. You can be mad at someone for taking a shit. All right. So quickly, 96 people watching. We have got Jetman up to 68 subscribers. Come on, two of you. Come on. Two people. Just head on over there. Hit that subscribe, and then we can talk about G.I. Joe once he hits 70. We're going to talk about G.I. Joe. How about that? Who am I kidding? We're going to talk about fucking G.I. Joe no matter what. But come on, let's help support the community. The G.I. Joe, the Haslab has gone over 5,000. So maybe, I don't know, it's at 5,006 backers right now. Maybe the line's not dead. Maybe I overreacted earlier thinking the line was dead and I got to sell all my shit. But yeah. So let's see here. Are we at 70 yet? Start 68, guys. Start 68. Gladiator Break says, so the tears are Lady J and Flint staying warm playing house after warming pegs for 2 years. Imagine releasing an overpaid and undertooled snowmobile, but not releasing a retro-carded snow job. Well, let's think about this. Do you really think that they're not going to release a retro-carded snow job? I mean, not everyone has it. They're giving you a snow vehicle, and the main snow guy is snow job. So I think it's safe to say that they're probably going to get it. Peg warming has nothing to do with the figures that they're giving. They're completely different figures. Some people are acting like these are the exact same figures. They're characters. So I don't understand why that's a problem. They're also behind this kind of paywall, which that's what people want when it comes to an exclusive like this. They don't want to have something that they're going to miss out on. So, and Gladiator says, I said we should get a Mobat. I got to get all OG-13. But everyone said it would be too small. Yet Hasbro added butt room to the Snowcat, a few more hatches, and the Mobat would be legit. Yeah, and it's not like they can't still do the Mobat. They're not, again, we're going to get the OG-13. They're not throwing it out there just because everyone wants them right now. It's going to come. I'm not really sure what everyone... I mean, first off, everyone only wants what they like. Hey, they should just make what I wanted. They're not following the exact same thing because they're not supposed to be the exact same thing. But for you to sit there, and this is what I don't understand. I don't understand where you get the overpriced and undertooled snowmobile, but not releasing a retro-carded snow job. If you're referring to the Snowcat being a snowmobile, there's a lot of tooling to it. There's a lot of stuff to that, so I'm not really sure. But hey, you're entitled to your own opinion. G.I. Jetman says, do you think we'll get an iceberg with a polar battle? I do. I do, but I think you got to give it. I think you're going to have to get a Cobra vehicle probably first. I wouldn't be surprised if they do a Cobra snowmobile also. Again, you're going to retool that. You're going to use it twice. You can't use a snowmobile for something other than snow. Capitan jumping in here saying, just popping in Punk. Hi, everyone. We got You Are a Clown 57. Anyway, so I'm going to hit refresh one more time on GI Jetman. Did we hit it? Did we hit it? Only 68. You people are disappointing me. 99 people watching. All right. Well, the first thing that we'll kind of show off, because I know everyone loves it, is Python Patrol O-Ring Cobra Commander. This is a a Target exclusive. See, only at Target. Again, I don't know what Super 7's doing. I really don't. But hey, that's it, right? Okay. Gladiator says, bro, the Phalanx is $50 more, and it fits a dozen figures with a light and a ton of add-ons with a ton of customized. Okay. Listen, you can again, I'm not going to sit here and downplay what Gridiron's done. But Gridiron is $400 and it doesn't come with any figures. It doesn't come with it won't come with a play set. You can buy more for $45 to $50 a pop to add to it. And that's fine. That's great. You have customization. I don't know what lights you're talking about because I don't believe the Phalanx has lights. You might be able to add some. Johnny Reno, does the Phalanx have lights? Again, I don't know what people are like thinking about. Phalanx is printed $80 more plus another $150 for the turret. Okay, well, I guess you added that. You said that. Gladiator says we will never get larger vehicles. They should be crowdfunded if you back this. Whale, Demon. Okay. Oh my god. Okay, I feel like I'm gonna bang my fucking head against the goddamn wall. All right. So I want people, in all honesty, before anyone says any more fucking comments, you got to think of this not as this is what I want. They're a corporation. I want you to think about how a corporation thinks about things, okay? Kind of like fucking, let's say, Ford Motor Company looks at things, right? You have to look at it that way. You may want something, but they have to justify how much is the tooling going to be. A small company is more than happy with making thousands of dollars off of a product. Hasbro, $1 billion corporation, they want to make millions, not thousands. So when you look at stuff like that, you said the bug. We ain't getting the fucking bug. First off, that thing would fucking flop faster than that fucking shitty ass lightsaber. I think that's safe to say, okay? The whale, I think the whale would fund like that, all right? Now, they have to justify it. They also have to have the tooling of what they're planning on doing. Now, I personally thought it should have been a whale this year. I think you can. I know you can go with a higher price with the whale, no doubt about it. Okay, it does. Okay, it does. Then I apologize. It does have lights. I apologize. It does have lights. But either way, you're looking at two different things. All right. But some of the things that you mentioned, some of the things that you mentioned, they're never going to do because they're not going to make money. The whale, yes. That one should have been done. That's my personal opinion. This should have been a whale. I would have loved it. But I also look at this thing and I go, you know what? I'm perfectly happy with it for the price that it is. Gladiator says, Punk, you don't have to mediate. You've done a great job building your platform. You're not Hasbro spokesperson. Don't think pinning you into a corner. We're here to talk. No, I understand that. No, I understand that. And believe me, I don't need to apologize for Hasbro. And I think that's what people think you're always doing. But sometimes you have to look at how the company looks at it rather than just automatically saying, this is bullshit. This is what they should do. KBW says, I like to say, okay. Super 7 made a cat's lair for 6-inch. Well, first off, it was for 7-inch. And I'll say it again. Multi-billion-dollar company. Right? They want to make millions. Also, Super 7 is fucking on a sinking goddamn ship. Whale and Havoc. Yes, I could see a Havoc. Anyway. Woo. Okay. What do I got here? I got something.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Pop Leonard with the $5 super chat saying, I love all these folks who say they aren't back in the HasLab. I love to check their display shelves when it goes out for delivery. Well, that's a whole nother thing. And again, another thing that people sit there and say is, I want this. I want this. But how many of those people are saying they want something? They want the ability to buy it, but they don't really want to buy it. That's the reason why the Vamp. That's the reason why the Vamp was a Hasbro or a Hasbro Pulse exclusive. That's the reason why that Snake Armor is Hasbro Pulse exclusive. You can mediate exactly how many you're making. You don't have to worry about vendors ordering too many. Because guess what? Those Stingers are sitting on shelves and Amazon can't get rid of them. The Stinger sold more than anything because of what Gridiron did. Gridiron made those things modular and people wanted to buy them at $100. All right. Anyway, I want to talk to Snowcat. I want to talk to Snowcat and what I think of it. Okay. Jake Anderson jumping in here with a member for 16 months. And you know what you're going to get with that?
Fucking Phil Collins.
Now, if you made the Snowcat play some Phil Collins, that would even be fucking better than anything. Gun Bunny says, a whale, hell, I'd settle for a fat bitch at the moment. We're talking about toys. And I did see Toy Connection jumping in here. So great to have you here. Hurricane Live also jumped in here. Says, I think we could get a Cobra MT or Temple before a Terradrome. I'm assuming you're talking about a Terradrome. I saw TD. Or did you mean touchdown? All right. Oh, Johnny Reno jumping here saying Phil Collins. Where is it?
Fucking Phil Collins.
All right. So, the woman says, I hate to be collecting classified, and if they release a whale because the size would need a lot of space in my toy room. Okay, so one thing that they talked about with this, and if you see how big this thing is, you fully get that feel of how big. And this thing is much bigger than the Hiss. And they want it to be the centerpiece. Now, what I said about the whale, and the reason why I think the whale would work is because it does hold so many figures. It can be a specific centerpiece. It is a whole shelf that's going to handle everything. The same reason why I said the tactical battle platform I think would be awesome too. You build legs that are tall enough that it makes it like a little end table, and you can just completely fill it up with figures. It's its own display. All right. But let's get to this. Where are we sitting at? We're at, I know it went over 5,000 backers, 5,020 backers. The line is probably not dead, but it hasn't funded yet. So who knows? Maybe it will be dead. And we'll find out soon, won't we? This thing's going to hit all the tiers. And G.I. Jetman hit 70 subscribers. That is awesome. 112 people. We're going to talk about this, and then I'm going to send you back over to G.I. Jetman. I want to get him over 100 today if we can. That's asking a lot, but 113 people here. You should be able to get 100 people. Anyway, here's kind of a look at it. They talked about how this thing is going to raise up, so it can you can get good shots of it going up. Someone mentioned about this looking like a low rider, and then I was like, man, I need an Eddie and Chavo Guerrero with this Haslab. If anyone remembers them coming out, it was fucking badass. You got to go back to wrestling.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
War chest full of toys with the $5 super chat saying the Snowcat better get some sweet ass gridiron wheeled warrior upgrades. Whew, Jason, you know what? God damn it. I'm thinking Jason and Wheeled Warriors, and you are damn right. Holy shit. If anyone remembers Jason and Wheeled Warriors, oh dude, yeah. All right, so this thing is 21 inches long, 10 inches high, and almost 11 inches high, and about 10 and a half inches wide. It has to support 2 figures. Now, this is one of the biggest things that I've talked about when you're talking about figures that sit next to each other. Unlike the O-ring figures, you kind of have to, you can kind of fudge them together. Classified figures, because of how big they are and how big their shoulders are, they take up a lot of space, and they talked about this. And they are dead on with that. Jake Anderson says, I've never got a Haslab. I'm getting this. It is awesome in a box. All the tiers go through, and it will. Oh yeah, you're gonna get all of them. There's no doubt about that. Alex Martinez saying, Mr. Punk, do those rear tracks move independently of each other? Yes. Do you mean do they go up and down? They did lift it up, but I believe that they're completely independent of each other. And the front wheels are also going to turn, although they did not show it on there. But this is the early sample of it. Jay Soloway is jumping in here saying, Toy Connections, when will the Joefest exclusives be available? I don't know if they're up there yet. Check their site, because that's the only place they're going to go, Jay. Anyway, so you can kind of see everything here. You can see the cues from the original one. You can see the cues from the original one, but you can see it that it's much bigger, beefier. The same as the Hiss, the same thing they did with the Hiss. You got the hooks right in the front here. I love the lighting, although we talked about this earlier. I wish they'd keep the lighting how it is and not go with the yellow lighting. So you're going to have these yellow lightings down here, and then the regular, your big regular lights right here. I do hate that they have the windshield wiper in the middle. These wheels are much bigger than the Vamp and the Stinger, and they look beefier. I feel like they looked at some of these other third-party people that are doing it, whether it be Gridiron. I know Plastic Fantastic printed some for me, and they said we need to go a little bit bigger and beefier, and I'm actually really happy that they did that. Will R jumping in here saying turn signals. I don't think it has turn signals. Matt O'Brien saying, what up, Punk? Happy Monday, folks. The Snowcat is way better than I expected. I have to agree with you on that. I don't think people were expecting that. John E says, look, if I end up making a snow display, I need a snow roadblock and the buck that goes along with it. I plan on trying to buy an extra Lady J in Flint and the secondary of Scarlet and Duke. Listen, they're going to have the female buck. So you better believe that they're going to use that buck. This is exactly what they do. And Gladiator says the Real American Hero Snowcat was basically the Stinger. This is a Stinger with GI add-on. Okay. That was an interesting thing that they popped in. No, it's listening to the Oh no, I know the windshield wipers move. It just bothers me that it's like that. It just bothers me that it looks like that right now. That's all that I'm saying. I know that it does move. It just bothers me that it's right there. It bothers me when I see a car that stopped, like when they turn the car off and you come out and the windshield wipers are halfway up. It's like you couldn't wait a second till your windshield wiper went down. Tech 489 saying, I used to have the original. This is an awesome vehicle, unfortunately out of my price range. And you know, that is something that is disappointing for some people too. But I don't think, you know, there's no way to get around that. So, but I do like the treads. I like the way that they did it. I think by making it raise up just a slight bit, it gives it more of a beefy, you know, like that beefy feel to it. And here it is raising up again. And I like this again. A lot of things that people have to understand. Some of the stuff that's on here is specifically for toy photography. I know guys like Spec. If Matthew gets this, even myself, who's not good at toy photography, but I'm trying to learn and get better, I liked all the little intricate things that they did because that makes your world building in the photography you're doing just awesome. Baldy Fucks Reviews jumping in here saying, did they announce the HasLab today? If you were paying attention to the show earlier that I was on with you, then yes. Delila says, Punk, does the horn work on the steering wheel? No, it doesn't. But it does have a telescoping steering wheel. All right, so here's one side view of it. My biggest gripe on this, and I actually did mention it to Lenny, and hopefully that's something that they can add, because they said they can tinker with it. Is it doesn't have any type of guns, and that was always my biggest gripe when it came to the Snowcat and also to the Wolverine. Once they're out of missiles, you're just kind of screwed. But anyway, the missile system is on a much better turret than the original. If anyone had the original, they know those things pretty much fucking break all the time. The fact that I have one that isn't broken is kind of shocking. You have the little ladder that will drop down. So, and at this point, it doesn't really look all that big. Here's the other side of it. Again, exact same. I do like the way that the windshield is going to open up, but I forgot to load I had a shot of the two together, or actually all three of them. So here's the back of it. And, you know, again, they made this a carrier. Now, yes, it's not the Phalanx, which again is $400, much more expensive. Plus, I think the shipping on that is a little bit more. But it does have working hooks. I thought they said it had a working winch, but I don't see a winch in there. But it has working hooks. But I thought they said they had a winch, and maybe I just misheard them. Does anyone remember that? And Matt O'Brien saying, Punk, I hope they keep the blue lights too. Think it looks better than going yellow. Hopefully they listen to what people have to say. And I hope so too. I haven't heard anyone says I like the awful yellow. I understand the reason why, but so here it is kind of breaking apart. Rather than just have the ski missiles right up there, or the ski pedos, snow pedos, they're in boxes, which also can be broken down into weapons crates. I think it's neat that they decided to make a snowboard. With that said, this is like the old time snowboards. To be honest, the skis probably would be like the ski for the torpedo would probably be like this, to be 100% honest, with that little piece in the middle, but you would not snowboard anything like that. Maybe if you were, slaloming. But once you remove this, I do think that we're going to have it. So the missile rack, if you just kind of look at it, it looks like if you place that on the ground, once you put the missile rack in the top, it should be able to be used on the ground. So new blast effects, they're kind of doing the exact same thing that we're seeing Ramen do with their not Wolverine. Valaverse did it with their rocket launchers, and I think it adds a lot to the display where you have the back blast coming off, and they have a couple different sizes. So But they can also be used on the back of the missiles. Now, if you want to turn it into a troop carrier, and they did talk about how they're going to add some detail. So there's a lot of stuff that you don't see here, and also there's weapon storage. And they did say that the bivouacs tarp can fit in the back there. So I'd say they're pretty large. I do think, because when I heard Lenny and them say, yeah, you kind of just gonna have to zipper their feet, it's gonna be a very, very tight fit. All right. We have Edward Stemanowski saying, I really want these companies to stop putting masks on all of their figures. It really shows a lack of imagination. Give these figures some and humanize them. Are you in the past? Edward, I don't know if you're in the past watching, and if you're watching other, you're watching the Operation Monster Force stuff. If you're here now, let us know. But if you're in the past, when you catch up, the future is awesome. Buff 88 says, so now that next year's Haslab is Cobra's turn, it will be 2 years to maybe get a G.I. Joe tank. I ordered the ramen one for now. No, I mean, that's one of the things. Nobody wants 2 Haslabs a year, and I'm with them. So you kind of have to take the good with the bad. And it also tells you that the line isn't going anywhere. Right? The line isn't going anywhere. And I think that's what people want to see. So here's the back of it. Again, you can see where you can hold your weapons, your blast effects, if that's what you really want. But you're going to get some great toy photography, man. I think this is where you're going to get your great toy photography, especially once you get it in the snow. Now, to be honest, I have no problem putting my hiss in the snow. I do hope that whatever they do, that they make sure that the compartment for the batteries is sealed tightly, because in all honesty, that's one of those biggest things. You're going to want to take this out in the snow, and you're not going to want it to get destroyed. Yeah, well, Matt O'Brien, not all of us can afford it. But yeah, and yeah, I know. Yeah, Alan the Toy Collector, I know him and Gridiron, they have an agreement, so he's getting all this stuff. You can put a lot of stuff back there. Like, I'm not trying. Again, if someone wants to go buy the Phalanx, then they should. But you're really comparing apples to oranges, I think, in these two things, just because of the amount of stuff that you do get. And this is an iconic vehicle. But anyway, and believe me, I've been one of the biggest supporters of Gridiron. I really have. Contrary to what some people might think. Other people think the exact opposite. So, here's our Frostbite, which I was saying earlier today when I was on the Circle of Jerks. I was watching it on my phone. I didn't notice that was a thermos. And I was like, oh man, is that a big is that a big scope? I'm like, the M16 already has a scope. And then later on, Emily said something about the thermos. And I was like, oh, I thought it was a scope, because that's what happens when you get older, have bad eyes, and you're looking on your phone. But I do like this. I know someone's going to complain that the brown is too dark, but it looks perfectly fine. 2 different head sculpts. I liked what Lenny talked about, how he just has the beanie on in the one, like they just got called into action. They had to run out there. So they are trying to get more, expressions and everything, which is good. I do like the new M16. That was one of the things that I said with Frostbite. He has to have that big scope on it, because that M16 was so ridiculous that it was awesome. Um, but I'm glad that they did it. I like the way that this looks. And also, when it comes to these snow figures, it's much better for them to create a buck where the actual uniform is part of it. It's not an overlay, because you going to bed? You taking a shower? Okay. All right. Go take a shower. I don't really need to know, but thank you.
Huh?
I don't really need to know, but thank you.
Well,
If anyone doesn't know, that's my daughter,
I
Olivia.
also think, I know they are probably so scared. They probably thought I got kidnapped because I haven't been here for so long.
No, I know. I think they would know that I wouldn't be here if you were something happened to you.
Call your dog up.
Oh, I'm fine. Cole Long says, I don't understand why they have two different heads with hats instead of one hatless. He talked about it and he said it's like they just got called into action and they're running out there. I mean, I kind of understand what you're saying. But yeah, they wanted to make it look like they were just running into action. That's why he has a beanie on. So, but I do also understand. I do understand what you're, what you're saying. It does seem like you would have like a regular head, like sculpted head without hair. I think they may have. Not going to say run into some problems, but I think there's more tooling to it, and that's why they did the whole. They molded it like the new Flint with the actual beret on them. But I think this looks good, and also in some angles, if you don't know Legend series, it kind of looks like Legend series. When he's in the Snowcat, I got some Legend series vibes right now. All right, so quickly, I'm gonna do this because right now we have 128 people watching. Hit this little link and go subscribe to GI Jetman. Like I said, if we can get him over 100, that would be awesome. He started at 47. He's at 70 subscribers right now. All right. Yeah, but I didn't use it. So, yeah. Okay, I know a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people say stuff about. I've heard a lot of people say stuff like, I don't care about the lights. Who uses the lights? People that do photography love the lights. I thought that the hiss was pretty good. The dragonfly is absolutely amazing the way it lights up. I haven't got to see the Rattler yet, but everything that I've seen looks good. I really like this color, this light blue, that's supposed to kind of go with the snow. I think it's awesome. So I love the lighting feature. You guys will laugh, but especially in the winter when I leave my house for work, I turn them on every single time and I just kind of stop and admire it. I really do enjoy these lighting features and everything. And like Jeremy Kimberly saying, he just went over and subbed to GI Jetman. Thank you very much, Jeremy. There's 74 subscribers. You're welcome, GI Jetman. You're gonna be up to 1,000 in no time. All right. So this is something I like and I also don't like, and that is the sticker to make it look like it's like the windshield wiper is being worked on. And Spec and I both talked about this earlier today when we were on the Circle of Jerks, and I really wish this was like a cling. That just kind of clings to the windshield, because I'm not going to put a sticker on here ever. First off, I don't really use the stickers. And if you're going to do another photography shot, it's not always going to have snow on it. But if it was some sort of window cling that you could just kind of slide it over, I think that would have been way awesome. Way better. And it's something they could do. Hopefully someone will think about that and be like, yeah, you know what? A lot cheaper than doing, a second windshield, because I think that would be, a little pricey for them. to get a different canopy. But yeah, just to have a window cling rather than a different sticker that's going to be stuck there forever sucks. And Nolan says, yeah, should have been a vinyl stick. And you know what? Maybe it will be. See, I just want to say, like, if you message Lenny with ideas like this and say, hey, I love the idea of this, but I'm not going to put a sticker on there. Have you thought about like a vinyl window cling? This is type of stuff that they want to hear, because you're not calling in, you're not contacting them and going, dude, this should have been a fucking Mobat. And no offense, I'm not trying to attack you, Gladiator, but you know what I mean? Like, if you're not going in on them and being like total dicks to them about shit, this thing should have had like 5 figure, like, that's the type of stuff they don't want to hear. But when you message them and say, hey, you know what, listen, a window cling like this, I think would work way better, because this way I don't have to leave it on there forever. No one wants to do that, right? You're spending, $325 on a vehicle. You don't want to ruin it forever. So this was a shot that I was saying, it reminds me of Legend series. I do like what they did with this, because I really like the Going version, the Going canopy on the Hiss. I've never used the classic Hiss canopy other than for when I showed it off doing the review. I like the way they do this. It's going to make it easy for them to get in and out. Well, it makes it easy for you to get the figure in and out, but it's also nice that slides up, it opens up, and you can take pictures like they're getting in and out. Okay. So that's where I think they do a great job. And also the telescoping steering wheel, which I think does wonderful. I mean, some of these vehicles are a pain in the ass to get figures in. The ramen van, the gear shifter broke off, and I had to glue it back on for my buddy. And I guess, according to what he said they were having a lot of issues with that happening. So the missile rack, and again, 4 missiles that look exactly like the original. This one is made much better. But like I said, the side, on both sides, they should put 250 cals on there. This way, it has some actual firepower once it runs out of missiles. Because once it runs out of missiles, especially if it's up against a Hiss, what's it going to do? Not very much. Matthew Matson saying, I can hear Estelle speaking through him now. Matthew, do you see? I mean, you watch enough of Legend series, right? Do you see it? I mean, it's not just me, is it? And just plain yogurt says a vinyl cling, I would do a sticker. No, yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. And again, I don't think that is what would push the budget over. Just my personal opinion. Mr. Punk, Alex Martinez says, Mr. Punk, the Snake Eyes polar bear is going to look nice next to the Snowcat for world building. You know, you guys do know that there's already an Arctic Snake Eyes, right? The first one that came with Timber is actually an Arctic Snake Eyes. I don't think many people realize it, but that's like an actual Arctic Snake Eyes. And MCR says they don't think ahead. Polar bear cannot drive the Snowcat. You know what? You know we got to try it now. Sean Alley says, my only critique is that they need more color variations and the track is suddenly too much gray in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit of black. I see what you're saying. Maybe like the lug nuts being, a little black. There's some sort of color, but you don't, obviously you're in the snow, so you don't want that to stick out. But then again, you didn't give it yellow missiles. That's actually what they came with. So here we can see the avalanche. I like the way that these things pop open, and they're hidden, and they kind of give me that F-22 vibe. Everything is hidden underneath the undercarriage. It opens up. But it's also nice that they put it on there where they're like, if you don't want to have a ski on it, you can have the missile fire alone. That to me tells me that they're thinking ahead, that they can tone this thing back down, right? And maybe paint it green, because even though this is considered a Snowcat, it's an all-terrain attack vehicle. Treads go everywhere. It doesn't have skis on it, so it's something that they can redo. And this thing was repainted to be like the Havoc, like Havoc Mark II or something like that. Let's see. KO55 says Skeletron. That figure will be ready for the year 2030. Still waiting on the 6-inch figures from 2 years ago. Well, I think you're in the past. Future is awesome. You're going to really enjoy it here. I will say this. I talked to them about it, and they're getting done. This is what I'll say about Skeletron. And I said this last year at Joefest. When stuff got done, they released it. There was a lot of issues going on with that plant. That's the reason why. That's a reason why Call Sign Longbow, Operation Recall, you're not seeing that shit. And I think a lot of them made a mistake. So hopefully they switch over, because yeah, I would want stuff earlier. But those 6-inch figures I think they are coming. Tech, you're right. Honestly, the only thing that makes a snow vehicle is its what. The only thing that makes is this. The Cobra Wolf actually has, or the Snow Wolf actually has the skis. So if you have the skis on it, you're kind of fucked, right? You have to be in the snow. But this, you're absolutely right. It's kind of like the Snow Speeder from Star Wars. It could actually go anywhere. It was just called the Snow Speeder. And Gladiator says, yellow missiles made in the 80s. You don't lose your missiles in the snow. Very true. And they can't go away from it, or people would throw a fit about it. But again, I like the fact that they're like, hey, you can also just plop these on here and make it a regular missile. To me, it tells me that, hey, they're looking down. They're looking at the future. And just here's a little shot of it. Once it closes, you can see how it sits on the ski. And it's, again, this is why I said it reminds me so much of the F-22 in the way that it drops everything and just shoots it out there. And War Chest is dropping out for the night, saying, night, people. All right, War Chest, I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you this weekend about what we talked about earlier. So Clint Jorgensen says they will probably reuse these as water ski missiles that shoot out of the Flag Haslab. Yes. Yes, the Flag Haslab. Because the whale would be too big, but we can get a flag. Here's just the intricacies of it. I will say this. I know this is also can also be used as a weapons locker. The only problem I have is where the dog bone is. That's going to get in the way of weapons being stored in there. So hopefully that can kind of pop off. I don't know. I don't remember them saying if it can or can't, but I would love for it to actually be able to pop off. It would make things obviously a lot easier when you're storing. If people were even going to do it. I don't know if people are actually going to do that or not. All right. So here is the engine compartment where it has two dual 9 liters. The Lenny made a little bit he made a joke about it where he said some of the car guys looked at it and he said they were like 9 liters, and he was like, is that big? So if you're not a car guy, and I'm not a huge car guy, but I know enough, understand this: the original Viper V10 was an 8 liter, and it's fucking huge. They eventually went up to, I believe, 8.4 liter. I know they did 8.3, and then I believe they did 8.4 after that. I don't know of any 9 liter. I don't know of any 9 liter gas engines. I could be completely wrong. To have dual engines, I don't know if something like this would need dual engines. I mean, I guess it is running. I mean, it is running, basically a tank rear end. So But again, all sculpted in there. This is cool because right here it says we need a winter cover girl, considering she's one of the mechanics, and you need a winter clutch, right? Because he's also one of the mechanics. So, and you get a crowbar, which is awesome, and then you get the same wrench that we've already seen before. The wheels do turn, although they didn't show it, unless if I missed it. If I missed it, please let me know. But I don't remember them showing the wheels actually turning, although they did show it in the video that it moved back and forth. That's what, and again, I'm assuming that it's probably a diesel engine, but yeah. And Gladiator says, yeah, 2 engine is again. I'm going to say this. When I was saying it, I was like, why would you need it? But then I started thinking about it, and technically, it is like a tank. The rear end is like a tank, so it did actually make sense to have dual engines. But I was thinking faster than I was talking faster than I was actually able to think. So I actually kind of want to take that one back. But yeah, so the wheels are going to turn. It is not attached to the steering column, which is fine because that just adds to it. Not to mention something like this. If you remember years and years and years ago, Chrysler went with the cab forward design. This is about as cab forward as you can get. They're literally sitting pretty much on top of the steering column. So this is what I like. Again, if you're taking when you're going to be doing photography, you're probably going to have that top canopy down, where you're just having it come up and making them like they're sliding into it, that they're getting into it. But obviously, you want to be able to get figures in there. I have no issues what they did with the Rattler. If you didn't watch that, the front of the Rattler, the cockpit, the glass, it comes off, so it's easier to get the figures in there. It makes total sense. This is no different. That's why I like what they did with the steering column. Anyone that's tried fitting these figures in there, you'll scream at times. Even the old O-ring stuff, you'll kind of scream about it. So, Baldy Lock says, yes, ski missiles are cool. Serpentor's not. Kind of with you. A tech says with the black piece on, they can't repair it because the doors are blocked. I'm not sure what part you're talking about. Not really sure what you're talking about, but I've gone over a lot. So, oh, we're back to the engine. All right, give me 1 second here. All right, so I know this bothered a lot of people. I have no problem with it because I love seeing the photography. I love trying to do the photography, and this is something that you would actually expect to see in the cartoon. Now, I'm not the hugest cartoon fan, but let's be honest. This is something that you would have seen in the cartoon where they, hey, we have this on the Snowcat. It pops out. Ed says the missile launchers bar. Oh, okay. Damn, I hate when that comes. Yeah, the part of the missiles are attached to. Okay. So I like this. This is world building. This is photography building, and that's the biggest thing. You can see the ice in here. I didn't really notice the ice. I know they mentioned it. I really wasn't able to notice to see it. Again, I was looking at my phone. So, but it has the 2 cup holders. It does have the spot for the forks that you can pop it on there. There's the little spot for the heating skillet. So this is cool. Again, is it necessary? No. But this is where I think a dream project is. It's the lights that they're adding in. It's these little details like this. It's the ladders that drop down. You are absolutely correct. They could do a base model that has the missiles, and that's about it. Maybe some steering. You just have a regular canopy that opens up. But this is where you really get this dream project, is they're able to add all these little things to it. Also, as I'm looking at the wheels, you are right on. I have a feeling that they might add some black to it. It is very gray, so hopefully they do add a little bit to it. But yeah, I'm kind of seeing what you're talking about, how it looks kind of bland. But I like the way this thing's going to pop out. It's not going to get in the way. And if you don't want to use it, you never have to see it. Here's the other side of the engine, and you get the wrench. So you have the wrench on one side, you get the crowbar on the other side. The wrench is reused, people, so don't get mad about it. There will be some reused stuff. Stiff Kittens reviews jumping in here. I was cringing by how many times they said pedo. Did they say it? I was driving and just kind of listening to what was going on. And Shark Guy says, I don't know about you, Punk, or anyone in the chat, but I have never dreamt of camping equipment and fishing rods for my Joes. Well, I can tell you that I want some fishing rods for my Joes downstairs on my O-ring, because there's is it Leatherneck and Bazooka that look like they're fishermen, and I got them in the little dinghy that comes with the flag, and I want them fishing. So I have actually thought about it, believe it or not. All right, so here's the missiles. They look the exact same. They're called Shockwave missiles. Two different blast effects. One shorter than the other. I like this idea. With the 3D printed Wolverine that I have, and the way they made it is you can kind of just pop on, you can pop on the missiles to make it look like they're firing, and you use Scrap Iron's missiles. And I like that they're offset. They're not all the exact same. It's kind of one of the disappointing things with the Dragonfly. I'm not sure if the Rattler is the same, but I like having different ones because you're launching them at different times. You wouldn't be just sending them all at the exact same time. And Matthew says, yes, they said it a lot. Andrew Taylor says, camping gear adds so much to a G.I. Joe scene. You can get tents, sleeping bags, camp gear. Exactly. Again, it's just kind of, yeah. Oh, okay. The UK spelling of word. Okay. Yes, that, yes. The Gladiator says shipwreck definitely should come with fishing gear. Would have gone great with his persona. Yeah, I could see that. He's really only from the cartoon. Here's the figure again. All right. So the first unlock is at 10,000, which I don't think is going to be hard to get. I know some people may not know what the auger is, but I only know because I live in Michigan. I don't do this. If you want to go ice fishing, this is what you use. Now, they gave her a fishing pole, two different fishing poles. One when she is casting the line, one is when the line is being held down, preferably with a fish that she's going to be pulling out while she's fishing. Now, I think, to me, one of the things about this here is that head sculpt that is on her right there, this might be the one that you pop off, you put it on your actual Lady J. Then you put the hat on her. And again, Lenny talked about it, and this is all about they're in a rush. That's why they all kind of seem kind of angry. They've just been attacked. They've just thrown a beanie on. They've just thrown the mic on. So it's kind of it's again, you can use it any way you want. But I have a lot of people. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to pop this off, and they're going to use this on their actual Lady J, because I know a lot of people weren't super happy with the face sculpt. I don't think it's the worst. It's not great, but it's not the worst. And when you look at the original Lady J, well, she doesn't look that good. Yeah, Cole Long. Yeah, the head sculpt is really nice. But again, we've also seen other digital renders that look much, much, much better than other ones. Clint Jorgensen says, "What is the best lake for ice fishing in Michigan? Lake Michigan." I have no idea. I don't fish. I don't like fish. um, I do not. I don't fish. But they do it all over, and every single year, some idiot goes out there in spring. Well, there's always idiots, and the Coast Guard has to be called to save their lives because the ice breaks away and they just start floating. Me personally, I think if you go out there when it starts getting too warm and you know the fucking ice is gonna break, if you start floating away, they should just let you float away. Coast Guard shouldn't use their resources. But anyway, they do give you the different javelins, which is good because God knows she needs them. They're going to go in hard with all their coffee mugs. As soon as they started putting coffee, putting the cups in there, all these special figures, they're going to have it. I have no problem with it because I've been saying someone like Marvel Legends, I like what Marvel Legends recently did with the comics. Not because, oh, it's cool that they have a comic. It's cool because that adds to your world building. If you take photography, or if you do like photos, if you're just building a scene for your diorama, like you have these little comics that you can leave around and you can use it for anything. Valaverse, if you wanted to, you could use it for GI Joe, you can use it for Operation Monster Force. Like it's just little things like that that go a long way. Having a bunch of cups, well, if you're doing a photo and you have a little desk, well, you're going to end up with, like, let's say 6 little cups. Well, all of a sudden you have, all 6 cups up there. You have one tipped over. It's just little things that kind of add that they can throw in there that isn't going to cost much tooling. So, but this figure here, I know a lot of people are mad, which I don't understand because I don't understand the community and what they always bitch about. But one of the things is that, like, they just gave us two of the same figures, not even any new figures. But when they gave us new figures, like Ripcord and Crazy Legs, they're like, "Oh, great! They gave us two main characters behind the paywall. That's bullshit." So I don't know what the fuck you guys want. And I'm talking about the people that are complaining. With that said, you see this buck, you better believe that Scarlet's going to come on this buck, and you better believe the cover girl's going to come on this buck, because they're not molding this just for one. Now, with that said, I am very surprised we've never seen another female HISS driver or HISS tactician or male one. Like, they've never done that again, and it's actually kind of shocking to me. So that's what you get at 10,000. Quickly, Cole Long says, I should print out a miniature of the Sergeant Rock comic that Shane Black has in Predator and give it to one of those Tiger Force characters. Yeah. Like, see, that's the type of stuff that I love seeing. And again, I have so many little things now, and I don't have half as many as a lot of these other fucking people, but as you start to do more photography, you start to, hey, I'm going to pick up that figure because I want to take a picture, and you have like one picture in mind. So you look at someone like Emerald Knight or Matthew Matson, action figs, like these guys are picking up stuff that they may want to do one picture with, and you put it to the side, and then, or how many people bought that stupid McFarlane Batman because it had the lamp. That's all they wanted was the lamp. I know Woody did. So Mark D jumping in here saying, hope the neck pegs are compatible with the First Lady J. I think all the females have been compatible. Am I wrong? Maybe someone can remembers. I think all the females have been compatible. But let me know if they haven't, because I know I put the latest. I know you could swap the. I thought you could swap the original Scarlet in the latest Scarlet too. So, Hi, it's me says, this HasLab is definitely more for the G.I. Joe fan that likes Sunbow Adventures geared stuff and less for straight military battle fans. Both are cool to me. I will reiterate. The people that are buying G.I. Joe for straight military, I feel like they totally missed the boat of what G.I. Joe is. um, it's kind of crazy, there's, you know, there's a lot of futuristic stuff when it comes to GI Joe. So I don't know if that's what they're, if anyone's really doing that, but who knows. But I will say this is very much so geared towards the cartoon, no doubt about it. Backwoods 78 is jumping in here saying, "What's up, punk? Now we need a coffee maker." Oh, you must not have watched this. Anyway, I think this is the star after the HasLab. This is what people have wanted. People did not want the it's downstairs. The battle bunker, or they want a battle bunker. They didn't really want that guard shack. Someone got kind of pissy. At least it sure seemed pretty pissy with the guard shack, the Cobra guard shack. I forget what it's called actually because I don't have the box. But they wanted something like this, and I think they really hit the essence of it. So it has the big Javelin rocket launcher here. It has the seat or the cot so they can lay down on it. They give you the weapons rack that holds the shovel, the machete, and the axe. The radio, which I think is really good. The fish, which work with Lady J. What's the other? Oh, and then the campfire, which I really wish that they would have made it so. Mezco, I know, has done it where they have like a little light inside some of their stuff. I really wish they would have done that. That would have been awesome. I like what they're doing, how you can take it off and then it looks like it's smoldering and burning. But it's just too bad that they didn't make it so it just had a little battery in there and it could light up. That's kind of where I'm a little disappointed in that. But other than that, this thing is awesome. Actually making this cloth rather than plastic is going to get you a real texture, a real feel to it. And let's be honest, if this thing funds, you better believe that you're going to get a bivouac in not Arctic form. This is something that is perfect for them to redo and probably give you a figure with it. We know they love to do that type of stuff. So I know there's a lot of people, including B's Battleground. He said this is what he was probably the most excited for when it comes to that. So Johnny says the bivouac gridiron made has a light effect in the campfire. Okay. How much was it? I wish they would have, but the fact that the fire comes off, and I don't know if that's how the gridiron is. I really don't like the whole. I don't know why we compare gridiron to what they do. I really don't. It's apples to oranges. Johnny, I know why you do. But anyway, so this here is everything, and there's also a canteen there. So, but it sounds like it all breaks apart. So will it all fit in? Will it all fit in underneath the missile rack? That's kind of my hope. I kind of hope that it does. Shark says the bivouac doesn't make sense for the Arctic. The tent wouldn't do shit, nor do you need a machete in the snow. Yes, because it's going to be used for other things. And I kind of disagree with you because you basically, if you put it up against a snowcat or something, you're pretty much just trying to protect yourself. But again, this is fucking G.I. Joe, and it has ski fucking missiles, and you're mad about and you're saying that this doesn't make sense. Yet, what about the fucking ski missile? um, Toy Kind of Mood says people got bored of Valor versus Gridiron, so now it's Gridiron versus Hasbro. Kind of. To be 100% honest, like kind of, you know. Uh, and then we have our Flint, and people were complaining about this again. So he does not have a removable beret. This will make Analog Toys extremely happy. He said berets, you can't do a proper beret if it's removable. Again, it's a toy, so I don't care. But they did say they wanted to avoid that, and I understand. And once again, they have the beanie, so they'll have the beanie along with the microphones. Hey, if only there was someone else that could let you out. But yeah, so 2 different head sculpts. I'm perfectly fine with the Flints that I have, both of them. So I won't need to be swapping this one. But there's your coffee maker that was asked for. And then you have the eggs. And again, it all goes with it all goes on the Snowcat. You got your little forks that plug right into to your different sausages. One has a bite out of it. You get his regular shotgun, you get his laser rifle, and you get a pistol. All in all, if this whole thing funds, and let's be honest, it should. Yep, see backwoods. There's your coffee maker. And before someone asks if you haven't really paid attention, I don't know, backwoods, if you've seen it here. Right here. Oh, shit. I'm going too fast. I have a feeling that this piece here, that's the stove. I have a feeling it's going to be red. All right. So if it's red, then, that's where it's going to be heating up. That's where you're going to cook your eggs, and that's where you're going to have your coffee. So it's little things like that. And again, this is the first model. It's not fully painted. And we've actually seen them do a few other things. And the people that, to all the people that don't think that they listen to what people have to say, I know that after the Dragonfly funded, I had messaged Lenny and I said something about, why don't, they didn't have an actual hat by itself. The only cowboy hat that he had, or cavalry hat that he had hair on it. I said, you need to put a cavalry hat with him that doesn't have hair, because people are going to do photography with him holding it. And he said, you're not the first one to mention that to me. Well, guess what? They put that in there, and that was one of those like, hey, good things. And I believe that there was a couple things I believe in the new figures with the Rattler that weren't showed off before either. So yes. So that's that's one of those things where I think that they take into consideration, they listen to what you have to say, and they change things. They will adjust things because they have time to do it. This is not in production, so we got some time. Well, Roadblock should be the cook, but he doesn't come with this. In actuality, if you watched my interview with Lenny, he talked about the Cobra Island Roadblock, and that he's actually wearing like a cook's hat that's all beat up and everything on his head. That's actually what that do-rag is. So, tier 4 is at Flint. And I know a lot of people think that the bivouac should be the last. I disagree, because if you're looking at it from a management perspective, if you get Lady J, you're also going to want to get Flint. And I think it only needs 14,000 to fund. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Mark D jumping in here say should be able to convert the bivouac set to other environments fairly easy. Just need some other count. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I mean, that's why I think when we look at this, and now Adam, you're not wrong. Like, you don't need a machete, an axe, yes, a shovel, yes. But let's be honest. This is going to be used for other things. But we throw it in here and you're able to get it made. All right. It basically gets funded. Again, I'm not saying I fully agree with the Haslab model, but I understand it and I'm perfectly fine with it, because if this is how we have to get certain things, then I'm willing to to take that chance, and I'm willing to buy it and fund it. I don't like the fact that they may make vehicles that we funded. I think that should be something that they don't do. Stiff Kitten says would have liked to see Quinn. I'm with you, and I think Quinn is a figure that is obscure enough that you could put him behind a paywall and there wouldn't be an uproar, just like Glenda, right? At the same time, I also could see, hey, we're gonna make Quinn. Hopefully, they do make Quinn, and we know people are gonna want him. We're not every. I mean, again, like, you can have Flint and Lady J out in the snow, and no one's really gonna say anything. If you remember, Gung Ho was on the back of the polar bear with his bare chest out and flying 100 miles an hour, and no one said anything. Boba Fett Gaming says, doesn't the stove that come with the bivouac fit on the Snowcat? I don't know. I don't know if it does. No, again, they don't have everything worked out, and like I said, they might change a few things, but it is interesting. I mean, there's a lot of different things that they can do. We're in Arctic Flint and Jay from Mass Device. Yes, that's actually why on Circle of Jerks, not today, obviously, because we know what it is, but Terry thought that it might be a Havoc, because during that mini series, there are no Snowcats; they're all Havocs. There were too many clues. Also, things that I had already read, where specific people had already they didn't say that it was the they didn't say that it was a Snowcat, but you'd almost have to be an idiot to be like, no, it's not the Snowcat. They implied way too many things that you went, yep, this makes complete sense. But now we know what it is. What are you guys' thoughts on it, in all honesty? I know we've already know there's some people that don't like it. I like the way they beefed it up, and I don't feel like it's beefed up just to be beefed up and say, hey, this is how we can justify it. I think it looks really good. And quickly, I'm going to do this one last time. GI Jetman is at 75 subscribers. We have 116. If you guys could just click that link, head on over to GI Jetman and hit subscribe. If he hit 100 today, I bet he'd be super excited. And again, as our whole community grows, it's better for everyone. And we still see, just everyone in the community growing. The toy companies see it, and it's better for everyone. So please hit that link and go hit subscribe. But what are your guys' thoughts on this? I want to see. Todd C says it's solid, not blown away by it, to be honest, but glad to back it and have it in my collection. And I will say this again. I do think going with a snow vehicle, it's difficult, because there are people that have never seen snow that don't care about snow missions, right? I've also talked to a lot of people that grew up in Arizona and Texas, and they love the Snowcat. So it's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I think what they did, and they made it bigger. And it's not like just a little bit bigger than the Hiss. It is considerably bigger than the Hiss. And Lenny kind of talked about how, hey, you put two figures side by side, you got to make enough room for them. And the wheels always stuck out, but I like the way that they raised it. I think one of the coolest things, I think one of the things they could have done was if they would have made it a personnel carrier and they could have raised up the back of it, obviously to fit, let's say 2 or 3 people in the back, and then just shrunk down the profile of the missile turret. You could have done that, and then you would have been able to fit figures in it, or maybe even have it stop up. Rather, what they did was they just, hey, we're going to take this off. That also gives people an incentive to buy multiple, because like, hey, I want to have a troop carrier, but I also want to have one that's just sitting there that looks like the actual, Snowcat that I remember as a kid. So it truly is just one of those things. No matter what they did, people were going to bitch about it. And it doesn't matter what it is. People were going to bitch about it, and then other people were going to rave about it. I try and be an objective. Some people don't think that I'm objective, and that's their feeling. I think most people that know me know that I'm going to speak from the heart. And if if it was shit, I'd say that it was shit. I've been happy with everything that they've given us. But I do think that it is, I really do think that it is one of those, I think it's one of those things where, again, you're picking a snow vehicle, and that's not for everyone. Where the hovercraft, I've heard people say, well, the hovercraft there's no water. Well, guess what? The hovercraft goes on land and on sea. So, Toy Kind of Mood saying, hey, Punk, you ever think about going to Comic-Con? I would love to, but obviously I can't this year. And next year, right after Joefest, we are supposed to be going to Orlando, so that's out. My daughter lives out there, so I'd have a place to crash. So if she's still there in a couple years, that's kind of what my idea is. I would actually shoot for it next year if we didn't already have this whole Orlando idea all set up to go, because I do want to go there eventually. Everyone that's gone, whether they're huge toy collectors or not, they've said, hey, you know what? It's one of those bucket list things, and I would like to go. But it won't be happening this year or next year. Russell Guy says, what's up, Tony? I grew out of my Joes right before the Snow characters. Other than Snow Job came out, I'm definitely back in the Haslab. I don't think Tony's here, but Lawrence is. I don't take offense to it. I hope you don't think that I'm Tony's figs, because I'm not. But he's a good guy. It's great to have you, though. Cole Long says, what Cobra land vehicles have potential as a Haslab? God. None? In all honesty, the Thunder Machine. I know it's technically a Dreadnought. And again, I'm looking at it from a point of view of being iconic. This is where I think there's going to be a problem next year. You're either going to go heavy into Iron Grenadiers, which is also Cobra. I don't think that you can do a stun. It's very basic, right? I don't think that is Haslab worthy. you would have to completely redesign the stun to what it is. The Thunder Machine and Shark Eyes is, I think, saying the same thing. Again, this kind of puts things into perspective. Lenny said the Snowcat, the Snowcat and the Thunder Machine don't need to be Haslabs. He didn't say that they wouldn't. I think that the Thunder Machine is awesome for a Haslab because you have the original look, but then you can also create a whole different front end, something designless. Let's say like the Challenger, have different machine guns that can go on the front, a different turbine engine that you could pop into the back. So you give it multiple different things. So now you create a second Thunder Machine, call it whatever you want, and it's a different Dreadnought vehicle. So people have an incentive to buy two. Just my personal opinion. Rachel says Stun, Wolf, Thunder Machine. I don't know what the Steel Crusher is. But and that goes back to the iconic stuff. I don't think the Wolf is iconic enough. And I don't think that the Stun. So the Mamba or the Demon, yes. No to the Bug. The Parasite Hammerhead, again, I don't think iconic enough. MCR says Whale would be around 500. Yes, I do. I think around 500. But they've also shocked us with, the pricing of the Rattler. The Whale, I think, would be because I've seen 3D printed ones, and they're very large. The Hasbro, yes, the Buzzbore. Man, everything's not working. Please don't shut down on me. There we go. Ronnie wants the Hasbro Buzzbore. He doesn't even collect classified. Highsby says the Chunder Machine is the second one. But I don't like land vehicle. I don't know. I don't think that it would be the hydrofoil, and I know people really, really want the hydrofoil. I don't think it's the hydrofoil, because G.I. Joe doesn't really have a mid-size iconic vehicle, water vehicle that would take on the Cobra Moray. Conversely, the Whale does have the water moccasin, which technically you could do as a fan channel. That's kind of how I would see that going. And here's the other thing. They don't have to alternate between Cobra and Joe. They really don't. It's just something that they've done so far. Okay.
Because I'm peeling. My legs are peeling. And my arms are peeling.
That's because you got tan and you got burnt.
No, I haven't been out in the sun in like 2 weeks.
Okay.
And also I don't shampoo.
There's none in there?
I was looking for it.
Okay.
It is in here.
Okay. See, but here's also the problem with the Whale and the Moray. They would both take up a lot of space. All right. They would take up a lot of space. Now, I have heard and I've seen people kind of rip on classified collectors because they have, the Terrordrome and they have the flag, and they're like, oh yeah, all these classified collectors complaining, look how big these are. Well, those are play sets. All right. Those are play sets. And that's where you're not, people aren't really thinking like these are the actual vehicles, not play sets that take up all the space. So all of that has to go into consideration. But again, when they do the Snowcat, they're like, hey, this is probably going to fund and probably not have a hard time. But you do a $500 Whale, and I would love it. not only do people have to come up with the funds for $500, then people have to ask the question of, do I have the space? Now people are going to go back and say, hey, you know what? People back to Dragon. That's a much smaller community, all right, that are back in the Dragon. And, you know, the Four Horsemen are looking to make a specific amount. I guarantee you that specific amount that they need or want to make that profitable is not the same as what Hasbro wants. And speaking of Four Horsemen Mythic Legion, Joe Gonsalves jumping in here. This guy is one of the great guy, honestly, great guy, but one of the biggest Mythic Legions guys you're ever going to meet. But yeah, I've thought about it too. And I look in my basement, I'm looking at all the vehicles, and I'm kind of like, there aren't really that many iconic Haslab worthy. And the reason why, this is the reason why so many of us will say, the reason why so many of us will say it has to be iconic is because that's the only way that they can sell it. That's why I say the bug, no one's going to buy the bug. I don't want a fucking bug. First off, it looks stupid to begin with. They do a great job of like classifying stuff up that was stupid, but you know, there's a lot of different things that when people look at it, it has to be iconic. That's the biggest thing. How iconic is it that they can justify putting this tooling in? Because if it doesn't, remember, if it doesn't fund, they've just paid a whole shitload of people their time and effort to design something that didn't fund. Hasbro doesn't like to lose money, although they do it a lot. Mudalock says, yeah, I would have backed the water moccasin, maybe. No interest in a snow vehicle. And again, Muda, this is kind of why I think this is risky. And I don't think it's too risky, to be 100% honest. I mean, I think it's going to fund. But I do think you alienate a lot of people that, again, don't care about snow. The hovercraft, the whale, once again, it goes on water. It also goes on land. Cole Long says, how much bigger was the original Thunder Machine compared to the original Vamp? It's about as big as, it's about at least as long as a Snowcat, I believe. It's not as wide, I don't believe, and obviously not as high, because it's supposed to be built off, you know, like the front end is a Trans Am. So it's not as high, but it is a fairly long vehicle, and you also have that big jet engine on it too, which again, not realistic. It's funny what people want, and you're like, you remember Sci-Fi? Wasn't the most realistic G.I. Joe ever. What about Airtight? Not the most realistic. That's why, like, when these people do this, like, I just kind of laugh. Like, G.I. Joe's always been pretty, even originally. You know, you had, you know, Flash with his catcher stuff on and his laser gun, and Snake Eyes, a full blackout suit, and then a girl in her leotard. Like, they've never been full on military like everyone likes to think with their revisionist history. I'm just trying to see here. Muda says, I like to be longer than the Vamp slightly. Are you talking about the Thunder Machine? I think the Thunder Machine is quite a bit longer than the Vamp. It just has a long front end, and again, you also have to widen it. So it'd be at least as wide as the Stinger and the Vamp, because you have to put the doors down on it. Mark D says, well, would be really cool, but how big would it be? Well, again, like I said, I've seen 3D printed ones, but my thing is when it comes to the whale, is it truly does become a play, like it becomes a play set because of how many figures that it can actually hold. That's my biggest thing and why I think a whale can be done. And MOBA and APC are two of the most. I don't think the APC is at all. I don't think the APC is at all. And personally, I think the Mauler is more iconic than the Mobat. Now, it's actually way more iconic. I mean, it's not part of the original, and I know that's what people want. I personally think that if they do decide to do a Mobat, that it's going to be universal, where you can change it to be they can change it. I don't know if we be able to, but I think that it would be able to be changed. So it could easily be converted into the Mobat and the Mauler. This way they get some dual tooling out of it. Delta 17, Steve jumping in there saying, hey, lay off the leotards. Those were tactical leotards. Hey, I'm just saying, I don't know if they were US. I don't know if they were United States military issued. That's it, man. Yeah, everyone had the APC. It was a carrying case, but again, I don't believe it's iconic enough. Also, I mentioned this on Circle of Jerks. It'd be the size of a fucking suitcase, and it has the handle so you could fucking drag it onto an airport, onto an airplane. But yeah, and I love the APC because it's one of the few vehicles that didn't sink, that floated like you wouldn't believe. So yeah. Muda says, I like the Wolverine, but CoverGirl probably isn't of a character to carry a crowdfund. Okay, so that is a smaller vehicle. And because there's not a lot to it, that's something that I could see, just like the Ostriker and the Stinger and the Vamp, that they could do for $100. Maybe 125. Again, there's really not too much to it, but I would want some guns added to it. I don't want the exact same thing. But yeah, it's one of those, there's other things that I would have rather had. I'm not going to lie, but I also look at it and I go, I like to look at everything, and you have to look at it through the eyes of a corporation. Then you also have to look at it through the eyes of the designers, Lenny, and he knows, hey, I can do so much stuff. He has to work things into his, into what he knows he can do, because there's the yin and the yang. Like, if you push too much and something fails, they're going to pull G.I. Joe and we're not going to have any of it. It sucks, but this has been like the redheaded stepchild, which is weird because, my stepdaughter is redhead. So, but they have to be able to give stuff that they know people are going to want, not just stuff that they want to make. That's why I said I'd be awful, because I'd be like, well, fuck, I hate Cobra Law. I ain't never making that shit, but people actually like it. It's stupid, but I buy it. Gladiator says, I'm going to bed. Good night, everyone. Thank you again, Punk. You know what? Thank you. And again, I'm 100% honest. I actually liked, even though I disagree with a lot of what you're saying, I like the fact that you come in here and you talk about it. And rather than, coming in and my mods have to boot you because you're acting like a jackass. You didn't act like a jackass. You had an opinion. I have a difference of opinion. This is how the world should work. We talk about it. We disagree. We high five. Maybe we don't high five. I don't know. And then we go our separate ways. The redheaded stepchild that saved Marvel Comics and Hasbro have birthed the Transformers. Matthew, I'm not saying I fucking agree with it. I'm just saying that's how they get treated. I think we all agree. I think we all agree that they treat G.I. Joe like shit. Now, I understand a lot of things. I understand why when you're having production issues or you can't get stuff out, that Marvel, that Star Wars, it has to come off first because you are paying for a licensing fee and they are basically saying, we want this stuff done. G.I. Joe is your property. And just like any boss, they should get paid last. So I understand why G.I. Joe kind of gets pushed back on maybe when it's being developed. But the fact of the matter is that the G.I. Joe brand is basically Lenny and Tony. They're the ones that are designing everything. Well, Tony does the painting. Lenny designs everything. It's crazy that it's that small. And I fear the day that, Lenny, like so many others, gets let go. Because that might be the end of the whole classified line. But it is a moneymaker for them. Hopefully they wouldn't do something like that. But again, it's Hasbro. But I think that's about it. I don't know what else I can really say. I think we've all talked about the Haslab. Everyone's seen it. You have your opinion on it. I'm not going to change your opinion. You're not going to change my opinion. I just like to see it hit. I will say this. I have a feeling this one might take a little bit longer to get because I feel like the Rattler, they already had that thing like ready to go. This one, I'm like, they're still doing a lot of tooling on this. And maybe they thought they were going to have a full year to get it done. Maybe they thought they were going to get the San Diego Comic-Con spot. Again, there's some idiot that lives on an island, and I every now and then you click on his stuff, and he talked about how G.I. Joe doing the Haslab in June makes a lot more sense. They've always had the San Diego Comic-Con. No, you fucking moron. They don't. Or they didn't. They did last year because fucking Star Wars fucked up so bad. And yes, Star Wars fucked up. And that's why the Haslab got pushed back to San Diego Comic-Con. But anyway. Whew. Man, oh man. Cole King said, realistically, it's very impressive that they've released almost 200 classified figures. I think what a lot of people don't realize, and I know they've talked about it, and other people, a line that's gone 5 years is very shocking. It's not the 80s anymore. It's not the 90s, obviously. But the fact that this line is 5 years deep, and, I know Emily has said it before because remember, Emily wasn't on the team originally. When Emily came in, it shot up. She doesn't design. She doesn't tell them what to make. She's the marketer. She can give ideas. They seem to have a great, great chemistry. And I've talked to Lenny, and, they love her for what she does. And they made a change, and that change saved classified because they were going down a road that I think they wanted to go more futuristic, but people didn't want it. And unfortunately, they listened to the people and they let it change. And I'm happy for that because I love everything that we're getting. And this line, I think this line has another 5 years easily before they really have to get into super obscure characters. And hopefully by then they're making new characters from the Energon universe.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
I played with toys with a $4.99 super chat saying, hopefully we'll get other snow-based characters like Iceberg and Blizzard, also a smaller snow-based companion vehicle like a snowmobile. I don't think that there's any way in hell that we don't. You know, they don't. I can't see them. I can't see them giving us um, a big snow vehicle that, and then not giving us characters to go with it. Now, I do think that we'll probably get a polar battle bear, but I also think that we'll probably get a. I also think we'll probably get a Cobra version of it also, because if they do tooling, they gotta do. You know, they gotta justify it for multiple. You know, multiple vehicles, and you can't do you know a snowmobile in the desert. It just wouldn't make sense. I also could see them doing a polar ferret, because there's a lot of people that take out their four-wheelers in the snow. I could fully see them doing something like that. Uh, but I think the polar bear, I think the snowmobile, it's right there. Now, I do want to say this though, and this may be just something to think about. I said that I don't think the snow wolf is iconic enough, but they did do the dragonfly and then they came back with the Cobra Rattler. So maybe they are looking at 2 years in a row doing two snow vehicles. And if they look at it and they go, well, rather than give 4 figures, they didn't want to do the patches. They had to. And I can tell you for a fact that they were not happy with the patches. But that's what they had to do. They see the bivouac in there. They might be able to justify the Cobra Snow Wolf or battle. What is that? A Snow Wolf, something like that. And they maybe we could put another place set in that to justify the cost. I think that may actually be a smart thing, because then you can do the medium sized vehicles. You throw something like that in the Haslab and it kind of justifies it. So, and then here's another one quickly. Let's throw this up here.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
GI Jetman with the $5 super chat saying, thank you, Punk and everyone. Dude, you're welcome, man. I know how hard it is to get started on YouTube. I know people don't believe that. They think you just start there. So the fact that you're putting yourself out there, you did a live stream today. It's not the easiest thing to do. So once again, everyone, 117 people watching. GI Jetman, he's starting to build his own channel. So please go on over there, hit that subscribe, see what he has to offer, man. It's not going to hurt you. It doesn't cost anything. And quickly, I want to see, Edward says, really, Punk, I can't believe that about her. Lenny is the backbone of that team. I think she's come on board. There's been more friction and controversy behind the scenes, but that's my opinion. No, you are absolutely wrong. She is a marketer. She is to market what they make. And I don't think that people really... I don't think people, they don't think like that. Like she does not tell them what to make. Letty decides everything is what's going to be made. It's his decision. But he also has to look at it and say, what's going to work? I have to make sure this stuff's going to sell. What can I repaint later on? She's just there to market stuff. And when she left Power Rangers, all the fucking Power Rangers people said, damn it, she was fucking good. And where's Power Rangers at now? It's not on the Hasbro roster. There's friction because of people in the community. It's nothing within Hasbro. Because everyone thinks that she makes the decision. She doesn't. She's a marketer. She markets all the brands that are Hasbro, are in-house Hasbro, other than Transformers. And she's been promoted. So dark Aeons jumping in here. Got a partner for Snow Job named Major Fluffer. I do, I don't have an original one. I have one that my son had. But yeah, I do like it. I just don't know if it's iconic enough. But again, I think with some of that type of stuff is, you can make it work. And I play with toys says, yeah, a white four-wheeler would be justifiable. And in all honesty, I just thought about it. And you know what else they could do? They could create like a little, just to make something different, put a little plow on the front that can kind of just snap onto it, right? I mean, these are the types of things that, these are just little types of things that you can do. And again, it's just cool. It's just fun. I mean, these are fucking toys. I think we all get a little too angry over toys. And again, I'm throwing myself in there. All right. I get a little angry. That's why some of you guys are waiting for me to, have my, are you on steroids? I'm not on fucking steroids. But I think it is time for me to, Matthew Matson, punk in need of education. Punk, I need to educate you on what a marketer does. They have a lot of input into the characters, colors, etc. They aren't designers, but they decide what comes to market. They do have input, yes. I mean, I do understand that. But he's told me numerous times, like she doesn't. They said it numerous times, like she does not make the decisions. Let's be honest. There's other people that make decisions over that. And fighting code names jumping in right as we're about here. Emily's cat told her to cancel the police officer. Reliable inside source. 100% facts from Mr. Fluffy Feet. Well, I can tell you that it wasn't canceled. They just pulled it off for right now. That thing's probably on the water right now. And it will come out at the exact same time. That's the funniest thing about that police officer. Just because they pulled down the or they pulled down what was going to be the pre-order, it's still going to be released at the same time, because since they were going to drop that, it's probably being either finishing production or it's probably on the water being shipped over. So it'll still come out at the exact same time. They have the tooling. The tooling's in process. So, like I said, yeah, we can disagree, but I'm just telling you stuff that I know firsthand, talking to them. But yeah. So either way, I mean, you go look at where G.I. Joe was when it started and where it's at now, and you can't say that she hasn't been part of it. So, I Play with Toys quickly says, is it just me? But I don't remember them showing off the damaged panel with flickering lights that make the Rattler Haslab look like it's on fire. Well, I don't remember them showing it when they released it. And then they didn't have batteries for it. So I know they didn't show it off. They did mention it though. They did mention if it had lights, if they had batteries, they could do that. So Larry Holmes says, what was the vehicle that Nemesis and Forrester took out with Snow Job in the movie? That was a Havoc. G.I. Joe, there's a lot of iconic G.I. Joe vehicles that they could do that I think would fun, but it's the Cobra ones that it's like they lived off the Hiss, they lived off the Stinger. The Stinger's obviously not big enough to be a Haslab, and it's out too. So, would they do a Hiss 2? I mean, that would be way bigger. So here's an idea. He said, what could be the next one? What if you go completely off the rails and you do another hiss that has the 2 turrets that face either way, and it's a dual seater? I think people would look at it and go, I have no connection to it. And I think that's exactly what they're scared of. I think they're scared that if they go off, people won't want to back it. I don't have connection to it. That's what we've seen in the G.I. Joe. That's what we've seen in the G.I. Joe community. They want what was what came before us. I can't tell you how many times I've read people say, yeah, that looks cool, but I have no connection to it. Yeah, no shit, because it didn't exist back then. God forbid they try and create new characters. Fighting Codename says, what's your favorite vehicle so far? The Dragonfly. I mean, I think they're all good. I mean, I really like the Vamp. I think the Vamp is really nice. I like the Vamp more than the Stinger too. It has that army feel to it. The Dragonfly was, I think the hiss is awesome. And I remember, and I heard other people say the same thing. I liked the Dragonfly when I backed it, but when I got it, look at that, he's ready. But when I got the Dragonfly, I was shocked at how much I liked it more than the hiss and anything else. It is just such a wonderful, wonderful designed vehicle and looks awesome. But that is my cue to get the fuck out of here. Roman, want to say hi? Come up here. There you go. 111 people. If you're new here, that's Roman. That's his way of saying, listen, you got to work tomorrow and I got to go out. So I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all for tuning in. Also, on your way out, I'm going to hit it one more time. 109 people still watching. If you don't mind, I got to get back over here. Head on over here to G.I. Jetman. Subscribe to his channel. But it's time for me to get out of here. I will see you guys all this Thursday. Oh, no, actually, I'll be on tomorrow. Again, 6:30 p.m. Circle of Jerks. And also this Thursday with one co-host of Geek Dad Life, Quip. But until then, I'll see you tomorrow.